pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Our Heavenly Father, as we gather here this evening, please let us remember our civility, our open-mindedness, our ability to listen and discuss with each other respectfully, that we all have the same goal for our city, and that we're all here because we love our community. As always, Lord, please be with our first responders and our military serving at home and abroad. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Franzen. Thank you all for being here. Welcome to a special meeting of the Independent City Council. The purpose of this meeting is pretty singular, is to for a information session on flock cameras and then public comments as well. We've obviously got a lot of people here. We've got a lot of folks signed in to speak. We want to get to everybody, so we'll try to keep things moving along. Let council know, as obviously we could be a while if any council members want a motion for a short recess, just make the motion.
I'm going to tee that up right now. That'll happen at some point.
Okay.
So.
All right, and we may take a look at where we're at after our initial presentations. Let's see. Yeah, first off, I want to just let you know I appreciate everybody coming out for this. I know this is a very contentious issue. And I also want to let you know, just to kind of set the tone for where we're at here, there's a lot of vitriol online. My experience over the 15 plus years sitting over here is that generally Independence residents are reasonable folks, and I hope that we can have a reasonable conversation tonight. I will say, the folks sitting up here, myself included, when the chief came to me in 2023 interested in flock cameras, I had similar concerns. I researched it myself. I was satisfied with data security. I was satisfied with how the information is used, who has access to it, and ultimately made the decision that I was in favor for him to advocate for him and took him to council. And I know some folks don't agree with that, and I'm hoping that we can dispel some rumors tonight, and there are also, that's not to say there aren't also legitimate concerns, and we want to hear those. We're open to hearing that. But I do want to just ask that you consider the fact, I promise you from my point of view, and I feel confident I speak for every council member up here, is the things that we do in what we believe is in the best interest of the city. There'll really be no other reason for us to do that, particularly in this case. We don't have access to this data. I've seen comments that, we're tracking people. I couldn't get to that data if I wanted to any more than you can. The reason we did it is we looked at the system. The system had the possibility for a lot of good results. We did an initial trial and we had a lot of good results. We have policies in place that prevent abuse. We've had no cases of abuse, as the chief is going to tell you here in a little bit, here in Independence, and there are plenty of safeguards in place. So this is why we're here, but we are very interested in hearing what you think. This has been brought up at public meetings before. I went in my last 3 budget addresses. I talked about flock cameras in those. I think I talked about them in one of my columns in our city newsletter. We've had it out there. We didn't ever put it on our marquee or advertise it, as we don't most of the business we do here. So there was no intention to keep it from everybody, and obviously it's gotten a lot of attention here recently in the media. And as I'm looking at the sign-in sheet, it's got a lot of attention here in Independence. So we're very interested to hear what you have to say. And that's it. I would just ask, like I said, my experience here is that Independence residents, we're your neighbors, we're your friends, we generally have a civil relationship. And I'm hoping that we can have a good, reasonable civil discussion this evening. Talk about a little bit of how the meeting is going to go. So we're going to start off, we'll have a presentation from Flock on the system, explain the system to you. After that, the chief has a presentation he'd like to give, or kind of a speech he's going to give talking about him. At those opportunities, council will have the opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to ask that we can hold your questions just for the sake of keeping organized to this period where the public speaking period. So that's where it'll go. To go the Flock presentation, chief's presentation, and then from there it'll go to the citizens' question. We'll go right down the list on the sign-in sheet and just work our way down the list in order that folks signed in. That's your opportunity to ask a question if you have one. If you are not signed in, you think you want to speak, and if you're not signed in and you think you may have questions, go ahead. There's still an opportunity to sign in over at the table over here. Feel free to do that. And then I would also say, you know, we got a lot of folks here. I suspect we're going to hear a lot of the same things. You are welcome to make your comments, but you're also welcome to, if you're thinking, you know what, I've heard 3 people say the point I wanted to make. When I call your name, you can simply say, yeah, my point's been made, or I agree with the previous speaker's comments on whatever. It is completely up to you. You are welcome to speak. The only other thing I have is, you know, obviously this is the City of Independence, this is the Independence City Council, so really we only want to hear from Independence residents. That's who will be speaking tonight. And as I look down the list, we've been around long enough, I know the streets, and it looks like we've got almost all Independence residents, which is great. We are again happy to have you here. I think that is it. Last thing then is, just so everybody is aware, the purpose of this meeting is for us to give you the information we have, to give this presentation to interested folks in the public. We're going to do that to give you all a chance to respond to that, or to ask any questions that you have, or to let us know your thoughts. Tonight is not about making decisions. No decisions would be made tonight. This is really giving out the information, gathering some information, which will all lead to a decision. So I just want to let everybody know, no expectation of a vote at the end of this meeting or anything like that. I think that's all I have. So with that, why don't we get started with, Chief, do we have our flock representative?
They should be ready to go. Let me just check with them.
Okay.
We want to do roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, before we do that, we got to make sure everybody's here. We have enough people here for a public meeting. So, Madam Clerk, if you would.
Mr. Brinker,
Here.
Mr. Baylor,
Here.
Mrs. Franzen. Here. Mr. Steffen,
Here.
Mr. Vogelpohl,
Here.
Mr. Wade.
All right, I will mention that Councilmember Wade had mentioned we were trying to find a night for this meeting that worked, but this is not a regular meeting. He had a prior obligation. We wanted to have the meeting at the earliest convenience, so I opted to go ahead and go with the meeting without him. But he's here in spirit, let's say, but he would be here. All right, so it sounds like, though, we do have, while we are missing one, we do have a quorum. So we can go on. Let's see, I don't have anything else on the agenda in front of me. With that, Chief, can we get our representative, or, well, they've got the screen.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear us?
I can hear you now, yes.
All right, we're good, sir, whenever you are.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the introduction, and I just want to thank the City Council for doing your due diligence. This is an important part of the process of including your residents to allow them to speak and voice their concerns. I'm Phil Arrow. I am a Public Affairs Manager for Flag Safety. My background, I have 40 years in law enforcement, 27 years as Chief of Police. I've used technology for over 7 years, and I'm a firm believer in it. That's why I'm here tonight, to kind of clear up a lot of the myths. We know that there's a lot of things on the internet, a lot of unchecked information that's out there. I'm here to clear that up and answer any questions that your residents may have. So we're going to start out with a slide presentation, and joined also by one of our account executives, Laura Bischoff, who's going to run the slide presentation, and I can talk to that and answer any questions you might have afterwards. Any questions before we start?
Oh, yes.
Is there a way?
Okay.
We get rid of the
Laura, go
echo?
ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know if
There's an
you all hear
echo.
him?
Can you all hear okay out there? Okay, we may need that. I think what we have is coming from TVs on either side. We may need that so both sides can hear if it's not too distracting. But yeah.
Audio is unintelligible to those who have hearing aids. It's not good for us in the back as well.
Okay. Can we possibly open those doors? We do have speakers set up out there. We may be able to hear through those as well.
Is there a closed caption option?
Mayor, we can try. There's a lot of feedback when we have the doors open. That's why we closed it.
Oh, okay. Okay, Captain, well, we'll give it a try, but yes, if we're getting feedback, then we'll have to close it. We got some volume control.
I turned this one down. Is there coming from anywhere else?
I think we've got it coming from over here, but I think we need probably more volume, but we'll live with slight off timing so that everybody can hear.
Chief,
Yeah.
Chief,
Yeah.
is there a closed caption option on Zoom?
I don't know. Oh, no.
Yeah, don't do that.
I got my wrong glasses, I can't read close up. I think it was coming from the TV.
We still have 3 screens up here. We'll go ahead and, Mr. Arnold, go ahead and, if you want, go ahead and get started, and we'll see if we can work out the bugs as we go.
Okay, we okay with sound?
Yes.
Okay. So about flocks. So we're an American company. We're founded and headquartered here in Atlanta, Georgia, with the mission to eliminate crime and build safer, thriving communities. So right now we serve over 6,000 law enforcement agencies across the country. We give police officers, first responders, advanced technology to help them prevent and solve crimes, achieve justice for victims of crime, locate missing people, which is a huge part of what we do, and keep our neighborhoods safe. We're very proud of our role in maintaining safe, prosperous, welcoming places to live, work, and visit.
Yeah, you shut them down.
We're also proud of how transparent we are in the things that we do. We are driven by a shared mission to eliminate crime and shape a safer future together. So right now we have over 12,000 customers protected by flock. 2,800 crimes are solved per day using flocks by law enforcement officers across the country. We're in 49 states currently, every state except for Alaska. 10% of reported crime in the U.S. is solved using flock cameras, the healthcare technology. And we also have 1,500 plus businesses protected by flock businesses, which are retail establishments, stores.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Arnold. What was the question? No, we cannot.
Mayor, hey, Mayor, can they turn the mics off? I think they're getting feedback.
Do we have maximum volume, do we think, on all the TVs? All right.
We just turned the volume down on ours.
Mayor, I'm not able to hear the comments or questions.
Okay.
Just stand by. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you now, yes.
We're just trying to work out the technical difficulties.
Okay, I'll hold on until you tell me to proceed.
That sounds a lot better.
Yeah, that is better, I think.
Okay.
That's a lot better.
All right, let's give this a shot.
All right, go ahead and try again.
Okay, so I'll start with this slide. So we right now have over 12,000 customers protected by flock ALPR cameras. 2,800 crimes per day are solved using flock ALPR technology. 10% of reported crime in the U.S. is solved using our cameras. And we have over 1,500 businesses protected by flock. Businesses such as retail establishments, home improvement stores, pharmacies, big box pharmacies, big box stores are all using flock cameras now to protect their mission. Laura, next slide. So we are a leading public safety partner. We support over 5,000 communities nationwide. We're in every state except for Alaska, I mentioned. We have tools that drive real outcomes. They reduce crime, they improve efficiency, and enhance officer, employee, and community safety. So ALPRs are the center of our technology that we use. That's how we started, and that's the biggest part of our business. So there's a quote here from Chief Murray from Yakima PD in Washington, and several chiefs have mentioned this to us, that this is probably the single greatest change since DNA, what it has done for law enforcement of how we solve crimes now. And I've been in that. I've been here been in law enforcement for over 40 years. I've seen all the different technologies come about, and I agree with Chief Murray that this is probably the best tool we've had since DNA, because it is really helping us solve crimes, not only solve crimes, but return missing persons, children who've been abducted, several things that it does that our officers.
There we
So,
go.
when these alerts come through, the vehicle has been hotlisted. The officers get the alerts when the vehicle is entered into NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center. NCMEC is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, so Amber alerts come through that, or custom hot list. So your agency has their own hot list that they would put together because of the vehicle that they're looking for a certain crime. If that vehicle hits the camera, that hot list would be sent out to officers that they know where to look. So it's really, it saves a lot of time. It eliminates searches that we don't need to be doing. It pinpoints to a particular vehicle being looked for by a police agency. Next slide, Laura. So there's a lot of questions and people, I'm sure that they're here tonight to talk, see things on the internet, and there's information that is going unchecked. We can't control that, but I'm here to answer. Data, by the way, is a photograph of like most specifically is what we're looking at. 100% of that data is owned by, in your instance, Independence Kentucky owns that data. We don't own it, you own it. Your department decides who to share the data with. That is completely on you. We don't have it, it's yours to do with what you please. So private customers, I mentioned that there's several department stores, home improvement stores, also have cameras. HOAs have cameras. Those are considered private customers. They never have access to your hot list information. Their information is just for their own use, the vehicles that go into their property, onto their properties or the HOA properties. So by default, we automatically delete data after 30 days. Now, that has changed. Last week, we released some information, a new set of rules that we're doing. For any new clients, that data will go away after 7 days unless the agency decides to keep it longer. And that all depends on what your local laws are. For instance, my home is in Illinois. There is no law right now requiring a deletion of data. However, most agencies keep it for 30 days, and after that, it is hard deleted from the system. Can't get it back again once it's gone. That's up to your agency how long you want to keep it based on your state statutes. So the FOC AR-LPR only takes images of publicly available information. So the cameras are mounted in a way that they only see a lane of traffic on the street. So if a vehicle passes through the lane of traffic, that's what it takes a picture of. It's not taking pictures of people on the sidewalks or any place else. It's just that lane of traffic. It catches, again, the back of the vehicle, the license plate. Only your agency decides who to share it with. We don't decide. So when your agency sets up their system, they pick the agency that they want to share data with. That could be just your own agency. It could be only agencies within the state, only agencies that connect to you, only agencies that surround your state. That's completely up to Independence Kentucky Police Department who they share with. There's been a lot of talk on the internet about facial recognition. We do not have facial recognition technology. We've never had it. We don't want it. It's not in the works. Our engineers are not working on facial recognition. We take pictures of the back of the vehicle and a license plate. We have no desire to have any facial recognition technology, and there's a lot of misinformation about that. But again, it's something that we are very proud of as a company. We do not want that. Cybersecurity. More information has come on the internet that we were hacked, information was hacked. We have never been hacked. It's not happened, despite what we read on the internet. Our data is stored and encrypted end-to-end. We use the government cloud. The encryption is approved by FBI, the NDAA, SOC 2, Type 2, ISO 27001, ISO 27701, ISO 42001, and then the Higher Education Community Vendor Assessment Tool. We're also aligned with the security protocols established by the NIST, cybersecurity, as well as the Cloud Security Alliance framework, which is stored on the AWS government cloud. So your information, until it's deleted, based on your time that you set up, is all stored on the government cloud, AWS cloud. So it's very secure. It's tested multiple times a day to make sure that there's no breaches. It has never been breached. And then that deletion at the end of your time period is a hard delete. Once it's gone, it cannot be brought back in any way. So one of the things that we have that we really think that the agencies should use, and actually it's now mandatory for agencies to use with our latest release last week, is our transparency portal. The transparency portal you put together goes on your website. It allows your residents to see exactly what your cameras are doing, how many reads they get per day. Every search requires a registered ID with an offense type. So if I can explain this, when the vehicle passes the camera, it takes a photograph of the back of the car and the license plate. That data sits there until an officer looks for specifically that vehicle or license plate. If they're not looking for that vehicle or license plate, no one ever accesses that data. If the officer does want to look for that data, he is required to put in a search reason, which is one of the NIBR's criminal codes. He has to put a reason that he's looking for. It's mandatory. He must put in what criminal reason he's looking for. In addition, now as of last week, the officer must put in a case report number or a CAD number. So these are all items that allow us to audit the officer, what the officer is doing, to make sure he's doing the right thing. So the offense type and user ID are saved. That is a permanent audit trail. So I mentioned that your agency will delete the data, which is the photograph of the vehicle, the license plate, after whatever determined time you put in place. The information of what the officer has looked for is always there. That never goes away. So there's always an audit trail so that your agency can go back and check and see if an officer has checked for a certain license plate, what type, what date, and what time he did that. So we also have internal audit and external audit tools available to the agencies so that they can do that on their own. We also encourage them to do regular checks. In addition, we now have mandatory and auto audit tool, which means that the chief doesn't have to do, the chief or whoever he decides to administrate the system doesn't have to do anything. If there is some information that comes about that an officer is looking at a certain license plate so many times in a day, whatever parameters are set that just seems to be abnormal, the chief will automatically get an alert about this activity that might not be proper. And it gives them a chance to look at it and determine if it is or not proper. And maybe it is. The officer might be doing an investigation, so he's looked at this license plate more times than normally would be looked at. The chief can then determine if that is normal practice, if he is doing an investigation. If so, that's fine. If not, the chief can do an investigation and see if he's misusing the tools and the product available to him. But we want to make sure that that is done automatically. Requires no extra work by the chief or the administrator of the system. We are going to tell you if something looks out of the ordinary. Search filters. So our items have specific search filters that prevent searching related to immigration or reproductive care at the request of a community. So for instance, if your state has a law that does not allow that, such as I do in Illinois, we have the Trust Act. So our officers are not even able to look for that information. They won't even allow them to put that into a search field. That's just not allowed.
Is that applicable here?
Federal limitations. We have no federal access to nationwide or statewide lookup. The city, only the agencies can share data with not flock. So your agency decides who they share data with. We do not. So if you decide to share with some other agencies, that is totally up to you. We do not allow that to happen. Our permanent audit logs, I mentioned before, those audit logs stay forever. You can always look for those and search to see if an officer is doing something improper. Chief log, what has happened in the past, and look into officers who might be doing something wrong.
What is going on?
subpoenaed by some court looking for your data, we will always notify you.
We lost you for about 10 seconds there. Mr. Arnold, if you wouldn't mind going back just a little bit, we lost you for about 10 seconds.
Sure. Let me know when you're ready for me to proceed.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Where did you want me to go back to? I'm sorry.
Just go back about 10 seconds if you would. Just probably to the beginning of this slide.
Okay. So I mentioned the search filters that prevent searches related to immigration or reproductive care at the request of the community. So those filters are turned on. If your state law mandates it, they're automatically on. And then you can also choose, if you don't have a state law, you can choose to do it yourselves. Federal limitations, so there is no federal access to the nationwide or statewide lookup. Only agencies can share the data. We do not, Flock does not share data with any federal agencies. All of your data is controlled by you. You decide who sees it, not us. Then I mentioned we have permanent audit logs. So communities can require both search reason and case number, which is not mandated, so you don't have a choice. The officers must put in a search reason. They must put in a case report number or a CAD number to do any searches. We hope will eliminate any kind of misuse of the system. And then the other thing I mentioned was our legal responses. If we, for some reason, are subpoenaed for information about your systems, we will always notify you of that request or of that subpoena, so you will always be notified about it before we release any data.
Remember your question.
Can you hear that?
Remember.
We cannot, no.
Laura, can you share your audio? Put up in the upper right, the speaker is shut off. Laura, click on your screen again.
Why are you watching this guy?
See the next to closed caption speaker.
Sir, do you mind waiting till it's your turn to speak? Thank you.
I am not seeing it.
So in the upper right, there's a little, your speaker was shut off. Go ahead and hit play again. You might be able to see it. We'll start over again. Okay, now just, there you go. It's on.
Yeah, we still don't have any volume. Maybe we'll skip past this one.
Yeah, let's get that. So this is basically actually systems. She does a much better job of explaining than I do, but she basically told you what I just told you about. The officer who's doing a search is required to put in a reason for the search and a case number. She was showing you the drop-down boxes that have, those are NIBR's criminal codes, so that if an officer wants to look to see if a car passed one of the flock cameras, he must use that drop-down box. It's mandatory. He can't do any searches without dropping down and putting what the reason is, whether it be a burglary or an arson or a homicide or a kidnapping. He must put in a criminal code. He must now put in a case report number, which is all auditable, double checks on the system before he can search for anything. Go to the next slide, Laura. So recent court cases challenging LPR cameras. There's a lot of information about Fourth Amendment violations, and over 40 courts have now ruled that the photograph of the vehicle, the license plate on a roadway is not a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Go ahead, Laura. Okay, so we're going to try and go over some of the myths and the facts, things that we see on the internet. Myth is that LPRs can track people and show police everywhere they go. That's not true. The fact is that the LPRs take a point-in-time image of the rear of the vehicle on a public roadway. They do not continuously track vehicles. Any images not used for investigation are deleted. The courts have consistently found that taking images of public documents, license plates on public roads is not a violation of privacy or the Fourth Amendment. Next one is that LPRs violate the Fourth Amendment, as we just mentioned. The appellate and federal district courts in at least 14 states, including the 9th and 11th circuits, have upheld using evidence from license plate readers as constitutional without requiring a warrant. It's only taking a photograph of the license plate and the vehicle. When the officer runs that information, if he's doing an investigation, he puts in all the proper information, a criminal reason, a case report number. He brings up the photograph it'll come with a photograph of the back of the license plate in the car. There's no owner information. There's nothing about who owns it, anything else. It's just strictly a photograph of the vehicle, the license plate, the time that it passed this particular static mounted camera. Next myth is that we sell our customer data, compiling all of it into the national database. That is not true. We never have sold our data. We never will sell the data. We're very proud that we're one of the only companies that doesn't do that. There are other ALPR companies out there, and you know, LPR technology is not new. A lot of people think this is something that just happened. It's been around for over 25 years. If you drive down a tollway, the tollway authorities have LPR technology. Parking garages have LPR technology. Car washes have LPR technology. It's being used all over for a long period of time. A lot of the information is sold by other companies to tow truck companies, to repo companies. We do not sell the information. All of the data is completely 100% owned by the agency. We'll never sell it. We don't want to sell it. It's not in our best interest to ever think about selling it, so we will never do it. The next myth is that Flock's private customers can access law enforcement data. Again, that's not true. The data that we have, the photographs of the cars and license, are not even tied to law enforcement data. An officer who pulls up a photograph of the license plate of a vehicle he's looking into gets no information of who the vehicle belongs to. He has to go to his other system, a completely separate computer system that also is audited by your state, to run the license plate to see who owns the vehicle, who reported it stolen, and so on. No owner information is included in our photographs that the officer has access to. So there's no information. So this question is about specifically HOAs that have LPR technology, or the retail establishments that have that technology. They have no access to law enforcement data at all. Next. Next myth is that we use facial recognition. We do not use facial recognition. We have no desire to. Our engineers are not trying to develop facial recognition technology. Again, back of a license plate, back of a car, there are no faces back there. We have no reason to look into facial recognition. We don't want to. The other one is that our cameras collect private information, as I just mentioned. They do not. It's a photograph of a license plate, photograph of the back of the vehicle. The owner information is in a completely separate and auditable system run by your state. Next one is that our cameras negatively impact communities of color. Actually, groups as the Oakland NAACP chapter have endorsed this because it reduces bias in policing. Their quote is that these cameras are designed to detect only vehicles associated with a crime, removing the subjective judgment that too often leads to disappropriate amounts of and stops at harmful interactions with black and brown residents. So how we used to do things in police work is that if we had a victim that said that they were robbed and the person left in a white SUV, every single white SUV, a bolo would go out, be on the lookout, and every white SUV would be stopped by every officer in the area. Our technology allows the officers to narrow this down using the time frames, using the technology that they can receive from the cameras to hopefully identify a license plate. And now we're more specific to what vehicle we're stopping. They're not stopping every vehicle. So that is, we're very proud of our endorsement from NAACP because we do believe that it does cut down on bias policing. Our cameras don't even allow the officers to see the inside compartment of the vehicle. We don't know who's driving, who the passengers are. We can only see the back part of the vehicle, the license plate, and the right rear quarter panel. We cannot see inside the passenger compartment. Another myth is that our LPRs do not have an impact on crime. That is obviously a myth, because the fact is that several agencies across the country have attributed a 20% decline in auto theft to flock. San Francisco Mayor Daniel credited flock cameras for 40% decrease on auto thefts, while increasing arrests for auto theft cases by 46%. So we've been used to stop 30% of homicides in Oakland and San Diego. By the way, those communities are communities that at one time during the defund the police movement a few years back eliminated flock cameras from their cities. And because of the spike in crime, they brought them back, and now they're seeing the crime go back down. Next. So here in Kentucky, we're going to go through some different cities. Louisville PD, Lexington PD, Oldham County, and Scott County PD. So Lexington police, one arrested after a man shot, car stolen at Georgetown Road. Next slide, Laura. LPRs help officers recover missing seniors. This is from Louisville. February 1st, 2024, officers responded to a report of missing senior. Family members provided the senior's vehicle information, which officers entered into the LPRs. Quickly received an alert that the vehicle had been detected driving southbound on Dixie Highway. Officers located the vehicle later that day, reunited the senior with his family. Last year, Louisville police officers issued a golden alert following reports that an 84-year-old suffered from memory loss and gone missing. LPRs in Lexington alerted local authorities of his location. Officers reunited the senior with his family. So there's a quote here from Jennifer Corn, the director of Lexington's Real-Time Crime Center, Louisville's Real-Time Crime Center. We've had success with FLOC with a number of different types of crimes, including stolen vehicles, but also public safety issues like missing persons and Amber Alerts. I think that's one of the most important things that we do at FLOC. Sure, we want to solve crime, but at the end of the day, being able to bring a child who's been abducted home, kidnapped, is being sexually trafficked, or adults who are missing Amber Alerts, silver alerts, that's, I think, one of the most important things we do that really touches us, all of those success stories of bringing somebody home who's been missing and taken against their will. Here's another story from Lexington. Flock cameras installed at a mobile home park. Help authorities arrest murder suspects. This again was 2024. Officers responded to reports of a shooting just after 1 a.m. Video footage showed 2 suspects running from the scene. The Flock LPR cameras identified a silver Nissan Altima driving around the area shortly before and after the shooting. Police later identified the vehicle as belonging to one of the suspects in the shooting. We were able to make a successful arrest with the 2 suspects. A case study hit and run. So before I get into this specific case, we're also endorsed by MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, because many people who are driving impaired are involved in hit and run accidents. Our technology really helps officers solve the hit and runs. And here's one case study from Oldham County. This one's from 2023. Officers responded to reports of a fatal hit and run accident. Officers queried nearby Flock LPRs, identified a suspect vehicle located and parked about a mile from the crash site. Officers arrested a 25-year-old suspect who had been drinking alcohol. The suspect was charged with leaving the scene of an accident, failure to render aid or assistance, failure to report an accident, and manslaughter because that person died. Another case study from Louisville. Whoops, go back one slide. This is a homicide and carjacking. This is also a 2023 case. Police received a report of a suspect who had shot and killed one individual, then carjacked an eyewitness. Only lead police have was the information on the vehicle that was carjacked, which they were able to put into the Flock LPR system. In about 20 hours, the vehicle triggered an alert on a Flock camera. Detectives were able to locate it, make a stop. They found the suspect was still driving the vehicle. The gun was used in the homicide was also located inside the vehicle. case study in auto theft also. This is Chamblee, Georgia, Chamblee PD. Stranger on stranger abduction in August of 2020. So at 12:33, an Amber Alert was issued for this child who was taken. The search was conducted about a half hour later, 1:01 p.m. At 2:30, a suspect vehicle was located. At 5:03, a felony stop and arrest was made that night. And at 6 o'clock, the baby was reunited with her mother. You can see the picture of them there. So those are the stories that we're the most proud of, bringing these children home who've been kidnapped, abducted. There's no better feeling, I'm sure the chief can contest, if you get a report of a missing child or a kidnapped child, there's no worse feeling. Every hour that goes by, you realize that baby can be another 100 miles away, 200 miles away. This technology that helps bring them back to their parents is just, we can't put a value on it. It's priceless. So these are our trusted partners. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, I mentioned before, NAACP, and MAD. Those are three of the partners that have endorsed us, that we're very proud to be partners with. I work with them regularly, increasing laws to make our technology better and help them out, help officers out to bring these people home. This is the statement from NAACP. We're really proud of that. I'm going to read it because we are proud of it. In a moment when our communities are demanding both public safety and equitable justice, Flock Safety's LPR technology offers a powerful tool to reduce bias in policing. Cameras are designed to detect only vehicles associated with a crime, removing the subjective judgment that too often leads to disproportionate stops and harmful interactions with Black and brown residents. It's a clear example of how technology can support safer and fairer policing. That's the end of our presentation. At this time, we'll be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Any questions from council?
I have a question.
Okay, we can save it for the public comment period. Well, when we get to that point, sir.
So what was the question? You asked for?
All right, if there's no questions from council, how long will can you be around, Mr. Arnold?
Sure, I will stay as long as you need me to.
Okay, great. So you'll be able to answer questions when we get to that point. Why don't we just, for sake of time, Chief, we'll, no questions from council, we'll move on to you.
All right. All right, first and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. No matter which side you stand on this issue, we'll be discussing. I appreciate your input. As both Chief of Police and a resident of Independence, I can assure you that every decision I make is made with the best intentions of the city in mind. I would never knowingly introduce a technology that I feel is immoral or illegal. With that being said, my family and I personally drive past numerous flock cameras daily and have no reservations about the data it collects or what it's being done with it. In respect to your time, I'll try to be brief, but also cover what I believe are a lot of the questions you guys may have about the flock system. The Flock ALPR cameras are a tool which we are utilizing as a force multiplier to create a virtual gate around the city to alert law enforcement vehicles associated with specific crimes and vehicles associated with missing and endangered people. The models we deploy are ALPR automated license plate reader cameras, which are connected to the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, a criminal database administered by the FBI. The cameras will notify officers if a vehicle passes an ALPR which is stolen, which is involved in a crime associated with a warrant, or is involved with a missing endangered person, or any other predetermined NCIC hits. The Flock ALPRs we deploy do not send you tickets for traffic violations, do not have facial recognition, do not record audio, do not track your every movement, do not capture cell phone, Bluetooth, RFI, Wi-Fi, or any other data which is associated with a different company called Signal Trace. They are not being used to monitor law-abiding citizens and are not deployed in areas where they are designed for normal pedestrian travel. They are instead deployed on publicly traveled roadways. The data captured in the picture is of a vehicle, the make, the model, color, and other identifying information related to the vehicle. They do not capture the driver or any passenger information. Due to the fact the cameras are stationary, they do not know who is in the car, and the Supreme Court has ruled in several cases that ALPRs are not a violation of the Fourth Amendment. When it comes to the Fourth Amendment, the courts have ruled in U.S. versus Knotts 1983 that citizens have no expectation of privacy on public roadways. While on public roadways, you are freely exposing your movements and vehicle to the general public to see. In more recent rulings specifically addressing ALPRs, the Federal Court District Fourth Circuit ruled in Schmidt versus the City of Norfolk in January 27 and 26 that the City of Norfolk's automated license plate reader surveillance network does not violate the Fourth Amendment. The court found no Fourth Amendment violation, including that stationary cameras recording public roadways do not track continuously the whole sum of an individual's movements and only capture information already exposed to the public eye. The plaintiff has appealed this decision, so we'll have to see what happens after that. This is different than Carpenter v. U.S. 2018, in which the case where the FBI tracked Carpenter via historical cell phone data using court orders without a search warrant to obtain information from his cell that tracked the entirety of his physical movements. So how we use the system, there's two primary functions we utilize Flock. The first is direct alerts to the officers. Basically what happens there is there's three ways to receive the Flock alert. They can log in directly to the app or the website, or they can get a text on their phone or an MDT email to their phone or MDT. So the Flock system works for direct alerts when a vehicle passes by the Flock camera. It captures the vehicle's data and sends it to NCIC. NCIC is a centralized computer database that's run 24/7 by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, which is local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies use to share and check real-time data on wanted fugitives. The way the Flock system works is when a vehicle passes the ALPR, it captures a picture of the vehicle, its descriptors and tag, and run it against NCIC looking for associated hits for stolen vehicles, missing people, or wanted subjects that are associated with that tag. If it believes it is a hit, it will send it to the officers with the pertinent information for them to independently verify via the website and running against an NCIC. So Flock itself does not get any information directly from NCIC, nor does it provide officers the name of any individuals that are associated with that vehicle. So Flock captures the tag, the vehicle information only, and sends the hit directly to NCIC, which will then send it back to the officers. It's the officer's independent verification where we log into the NCI system or run it against dispatch that allows us to verify whether or not it is an actual hit and that is a good hit. Excuse me a second. Second primary function of ALPR is the 30-day historical data it collects on the vehicles to locate suspects during investigations. What the Flock system does is it captures and stores the data in a secure cloud-based system which is owned and controlled by the customer, which is us, Independence PD, and stored securely in AWS government cloud within Flock systems. The information stored is only shared by us with bona fide police agencies for active investigations. The data is not accessible by Flock and not sold to anyone, nor is it provided to any foreign countries. The unused data will be purged after 30 days. Officers and detectives utilize the system in various investigations as a tool to develop leads. The system is a tool that allows them to potentially match a vehicle with a crime. An example would be if a surveillance footage from a home with a suspected thief breaking into cars in the neighborhood, we can take that description and run it against the location and times to find potential vehicles to follow up with. So example, if your Ring doorbell catches a maroon Chevy Tahoe on your camera, we would then run a maroon Chevy Tahoe against the system around that time, the cameras in that area, to see if we can find any potential hits. That might yield one hit, it might yield 10 hits. So that's where the rest of the investigation comes into. We're not just going to go out there and assume that one vehicle was definitely involved, but it at least gives us a opportunity to look into that vehicle and see if there's any reason to believe that that is actually involved. So again, this data would not be the sole reason for an arrest or an arrest warrant. We would have to identify and utilize other independent probable cause to move forward with an arrest. So again, it's a tool to help us follow up on things. What does Flock have access to for your data? Flock does not have any access to any stored data, and they have no access directly to NCIC. We own the data and we share with police. As far as police abuse, we haven't had a single incident of officer misuse of the system in Independence. Of thousands of officers who have access to the system in the 49 states, only a small fraction of those officers have ever been charged for misusing it. We have checks and balances and systems in place to ensure that the misuse is not occurring, including detailed policy procedure for it, supervisor reviews, and audits through the actual system where we run the officers through to make sure they're using it accurately. Flock has further created an automatic audit system, which they touched on, to flag potential misuse and notify the admin of potential issues. And I've actually utilized that over the last couple of days since it's a new system, and it's pretty user-friendly. It'll send me an alert basically if there was a tag run multiple times, and then the officers have to put in, why they're running it, and I can verify, all right, this is a legitimate case. Punishments for misuse would range from losing access to the system all the way to termination, depending on what the actual abuse was. We don't, deal with issues of misuse lightly. Successes, we've had a lot. I'm not going to get into all of them. I gave packets out to anybody who wanted them. You can read about them in there. If you did not get a packet because I'm out, there's a QR code here. Just feel free to come by with your phone, scan it. It'll take you to the website that's got it all up on there. All right. In conclusion, we're utilizing these ALPR cameras to identify and arrest criminals that have come to our city to victimize our citizens and deter others who plan on doing so. We are not using these cameras to track, otherwise monitor any law-abiding citizens. Any data by flock cameras are only used if officers are actively investigating criminal acts or assisting with locating missing endangered people. The remaining data is stored for 30 days and then destroyed. The flock data on your vehicle will never be accessed unless your vehicle is suspected of being part of a crime. It's estimated that less than 1% of the scanned vehicles are being utilized by officers or detectives. So only 1% of the data that's collected is ever even looked at. I believe these cameras are a valuable tool to make our citizens and our communities safer. I don't believe the violation of our rights, and I don't believe it's part of mass surveillance network to oppress our nation. I would encourage everyone to listen to both sides of the argument and make an informed decision based on what you feel like is best for the Independence. And again, I do thank you all for coming. And after we finish this, I'll take any questions when it's your turn to speak.
All right, thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Council, any questions for the Chief? All right, with that, you all like to take a recess? You want to get started, and we'll maybe give it 15?
Recess might be nice.
Okay. I'll go ahead and try to take as close as we can as a 5-minute recess. And then we'll get started on our first speakers. I've got Carmine Sondergeld, Jeremy Todd, and Tim Goodman are the first three up.
You need a motion?
Yeah, I need a motion? Yes.
So moved.
I got a motion from Councilmember Franzen.
Second.
It sounds like a second from Councilmember Vogel. What was the louder one? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We're in recess. All right, folks, I think we're about ready to get started.
I'll make a motion to go back into regular session.
Motion to go back into regular session from
Second.
Councilmember Franzen.
I second.
I've got a second from Councilmember Failor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are back in regular session. Thank you. All right, and that gets us started, as I said, on our public commentary. A couple things I would ask if you could try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. And with that microphone there, you've seen our wonderful technology here. And this is just microphone technology. You need to be fairly close to it, so you'll feel free to pull it out of its holder if you're tall or short or just don't want to lean over, whatever. But if you could just try to speak close to the microphone clearly, so we want to make sure we get everything on the record. Appreciate it. And I very much appreciate everybody. This is, as I said at the beginning, this is independence. I appreciate the respect shown. I know there's some opposing opinions, but thank you. With that, I would ask Carmine Sondergold. Sondergeld, I apologize. And the floor is yours.
All right. Hi, my name is Carmine. I'm a warehouse worker over at FedEx Grounds and certified TSA member. I think it's a little embarrassing that I have to come up here and explain why my rights are being violated to people who study laws for a living. I've been living in Independence for all of 9 months. I used to live in Louisville, Kentucky. Just my 5-minute drive to work, I am surrounded by 8 of these mass surveillance systems. Think about that. That's not even a camera a minute, it's more. And each of these sensors, they pick up on a MAC address that your smartwatch, your phone, any Bluetooth system gives off. They give off these set of numbers. It's called a media access control address. So they can capture this unique signature even if your license plate is hidden, covered, dirty. The system can still identify and log your presence, where you're going, what you're doing, and this does not seem like, does this seem like unreasonable search and seizure? Like, am I getting that wrong? Because they know all this information about you just because, you, an innocent citizen, just goes down the road to get some gas. And they know all of this about you. But correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't one of the amendments that this country was built on specifically put in place to protect us from such a thing? Where is our protection now? Where is our privacy? Where are the elected officials that we put in place to protect these rights? I don't see them. I see cowards hiding behind big sums of money from shell companies to increase incarceration rates to receive more money from the government. It seems like this country is getting closer and closer to a mass surveillance, big corporation-run state. And nothing will be done until people have decided they've had enough. And I have had enough. Protect our rights or get out of those chairs. And for my parting words, because I'm supposed to be at work. I was supposed to be at work 2 hours ago, but we had to listen to that completely ridiculous presentation. It's a quote from Benjamin Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety.
Mayor, do you mind if I say something regarding that?
Yes, please do, Chief.
Just real quick, real quick, I just wanted to, what you're referring to is something called signal trace, where it takes your IMI, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. The ALPRs that we have do not have that technology. So just so you know.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know. All right. Well, I can tell you I have no access to that, so.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief.
Mayor?
Yes. All right, next up I have Jeremy Todd.
Thank you. My name is Jeremy Todd. I'm a resident of Independence, a father, a husband, Christian, and a candidate for U.S. House in District 4 this fall for the United States. I understand and empathize with our officers. Well, let me say this first, just so we have some contrast here. I'm running for House because I think MAGA Republicans are too far left for me. Now, I say that so that you understand this is not a partisan issue. It is a patriot issue. And people from all sides of the aisle agree in opposition to these. Flock is obviously an effective tool. A sledgehammer is also an effective tool. It works on nails and it can open pickle jars. But if you use it to open pickle jars, you deal with what government often ignores when making their policy decisions, which is unintended consequences. And they always, always exist. Good intentions are not enough. The road to hell is paved with them. If you pass out sledgehammers, they will find nails. And if there are no nails, they will find pickle jars. If you are doing nothing wrong, they say, you have nothing to worry about. So let me read a quote for you. Any individual that is going to participate in a mass gathering of any type that we know about this weekend, we are going to record license plates and provide it to local health departments. And they will come to your door and you will be ordered to quarantine for 14 days. Anybody recognize that quote? How quickly we forget that one single emergency order and all of these rules, all of these compliance ideas, all of these barriers put up, the bumpers on the bowling alley, they go away with one single emergency order, and all of a sudden these cameras become a weapon of mass compliance of the people. Okay? A sledgehammer ultimately will sledgehammer at some point. Chief, you mentioned a lot of court cases that were not Fourth Amendment violations. I noticed you conveniently left off the most recent one, which is Chardy versus U.S., which says that geofence warrants, much like a location of a picture of a camera, do require a search warrant in order to be executed. And that sort of renders these cameras ineffective. Now, there has not been enough time for the Chardy versus U.S. court cases to make their way through, but guys, I'm telling you, they are coming. Class action lawsuits are happening all over the country, and they will happen here too, and we will pay the cost, okay? So, we are here using our First Amendment to defend the Fourth. If it is rendered ineffective, the founders gave us more amendments. We would like to avoid that. So, the last thing I will say is this is not a hill worth dying on, but the Constitution is. Stand up for it. And do I have time for a question?
I'm sorry?
Do I have time for a question?
Yes, sir. If you could just make a quick question, please.
Yeah, it will be very quick. The information that is stored that is not searched, so the data that's fed, does that go through an AI?
It would go through an AI system to flag it, basically give us the
Got
information.
it. Okay, so would it be fair to argue that that AI is machine learning off of that information?
I would assume so, but I'm not a...
So then it's not deleted after 30 days. The data, the pictures are deleted after 30 days, but that AI remembers and tracks every movement you make across the city and across the country. That is what we are worried about. Thank you for your time.
Sir. Sir, do you mind, what was the case you said to look up? Chimney? Chardy?
Versus United States. It's a Supreme Court case settled maybe 30, 45 days ago.
30 or 45 minutes ago?
30, 45 days ago.
Okay. I was like, yeah, I definitely don't know about that one.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Hi, Phil R. from Flock.
Yes.
Just to respond to Mr. Todd's comment, the information that is used for the tool learning, all that is anonymized. So no data is brought from where the photo was taken, what time, what date, or anything. That is all anonymized.
Okay, thank you for the clarification on
It's
that.
not tracked.
Okay. You know, and And I will make this point, and I know there are concerns about this is what we have now, but the safeguard's going away, and yeah, they don't do it now, but what if they did? The reality of it is there are laws in place, and they're growing. Our legislature recently, law just took place within the last month in Kentucky to regulate these, and that'll continue. Lessons are learned as it continues. We can't, I mean, if the theory is, yeah, we know they're not doing it now, but they could do it, we can apply that to so many things in our world. I mean, I trust my doctor. I trust my doctor
that's actually my point.
to keep my medical information secure. If they choose to break the law and release that information, that's a bad thing, but I'm not going to.
But an emergency order wouldn't be a violation of the law. It would be an immediate change.
And that would be an extreme circumstance. And I don't. And that same extreme circumstance can apply in so many situations. If we're going to stay away from good public policy for fear of an extreme.
Alex Preddy's murderers have not been arrested yet. They were shot by the federal government. We are in extreme circumstances.
I can ask you to wait for your time for your comments. All right, next up, I've got, is it Tim Goodman?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Mayor, you brought up my point. You know, we have heard this polished presentation from this company. Chief, I appreciate the points you put together, but nothing on there gave us an alert that said, at this time, we are not going to do this. This company is promising all of these things that can be changed when they sell, that can be changed when they get a new president, a new board of directors. All of those things can change. So my question is this: what safeguards have you all put in play? What safeguards has the police department put in play? Because a few years ago, Moses wrote a little line in the book of Exodus talking about a Pharaoh rose up who didn't know Joseph, and a lot of bad things happened after that. So what policies have we put in place that are going to protect our citizens from the breaches? We get that it does great things. We see that. And our concern, well, my concern is what this gentleman represented. When the governor comes out and says, hey, we're going to do this outside laws, outside of the Constitution, and affect us. So what have you all done to make sure that that's not going to happen? What do we have in place with this company that says, hey, if you violate what you've promised us, you're going to owe us, and you're going to buy us new stuff. You're going to pay us the cost that we're out. That's my question.
Non-valid question, sir. Appreciate it. Chief, correct me. I think I can handle a lot of it. We obviously have the statutes in place regulating it. We have a policy, the handout the chief had earlier, that you can get on that QR code. It shows our policy. That policy will be on our website. You can read the policy and the safeguards that we put in place. And in addition to that, we have a contract. So, and I've heard that discussion too, is, you know, management can change, presidents can change, boards can change. They may want to do more, but contracts don't change with the change of a board without us agreeing to it. It's two-sided. So we have a contract that says this is what you can do, this is who gets the data, we get the data from our cameras. So that's.
Is that contract published?
I can put that contract on our website. I will do that.
We're happy to share that.
There's actually a transparency portal that Flock has that we're in the process of updating and putting some things on there. It will have the policy and some other things that you guys can view and look at and make determinations about.
Hey,
But
Chris, what's this cost the city right now?
We're happy to answer questions, keep it in order. We've got a lot of people going, so yeah, we will, yes, when we get to that, feel free to ask the question.
So I did provide the policy to whoever took the paperwork. Like he said, it is online. We do have the safeguards in place that Flock talked about and I talked about, where if you run the information, you have to put in a case number now and a reason. And then we have internally put in an audit for our sergeants to look at the officers, and then our captains look at the sergeants, basically a tree down. You know, you look at your direct subordinate, and they just verify, looking at the information, that there's nothing out of the ordinary, any issues with anybody using the information incorrectly.
All right, thank you, Chief. All right, we've got, like I said, a lot going ahead, so I'm going to start off. We got Dan Berge, you're up next, sir. Okay, your question been answered? All right. Appreciate it, sir. Next up, I've got Terry Clentrup. After Mr. Clentrup, I have got Dawn Farwick and Greg Bark. Back. Apologize.
Hi, I'm Terry Clentrup, been a resident here in Independence for going on 34 years here soon. I've heard a great presentation for somebody who's trying to sell us something. And that's basically what it is. If somebody's coming to sell windows to my house, I don't believe everything he says. And that goes. The Institute for Justice right now has 17 individual lawsuits involving Flock and those other companies with 17 different other cities and municipalities across this country. This section right here are police violations of the rules and laws of Flock, you know, doing them everything from tracing down your girlfriend to checking on his wife. And that's just this year. This is 2026. There's more going back farther. A recent audit in their lawsuit against the city of Roanoke in litigation, Norfolk, Virginia, the Institute for Justice discovered that the top 3 searches to justification reasons for accessing Flock were CJ, stolen, INV, and that accounted for 1/3 of over 230,000 searches. And of all this, and one officer simply wrote, la, 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 la. And nobody checked, nobody looked over. It's great that we say that we have those things in place and but that's the fox in charge of the hen house. So, I'm sorry, I agree with Mr. Todd that this is a violation of our Fourth Amendment. And the police and our chief said it puts up a virtual gate. Since when do we check in and out of the city of Independence?
Thank you, Mr. Clentrup. I will say to the point of the police officer violations, yes, that's real. I think the most recent article I've seen was a Washington Post article a week or so ago. It was the highest number I'd seen, 50 confirmed cases. And that is alarming. 50 confirmed cases. Well, there's about 900,000 to 1 million police officers in the United States. So we are talking about 5 1,000ths of 1% of cases. The reality of it is the overwhelming majority of our police officers are good people that are doing great things for their community, but we all know there are some that aren't. But we're not talking about getting rid of the police, or at least I'm not. But there are, I promise you, there is a higher percentage than that are otherwise abusing their authorities. So if 5 1,000ths of a percent is the threshold, I think we've got to lock ourselves in our room. But, all right. Ms. Farwick? Yep, the floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Dawn Farwick. I'm a resident.
Yes, I'm sorry, if I could real quick. Yes, sir. Mr. Arnold?
Hi, I just want to address Terry's comments. We're very proud of Flock that we are the only company that puts these safeguards in place and the audit tools that allow the police chief or his admin to find these officers from misusing the system. I'm sure the chief will attest that nobody hates a bad police officer more than a good police officer. That's why we are proud to have these systems in place. We are the only company that provides the LPR technology that does have this. That's why you're hearing about officers misusing the Flock system, because we have the tools in place to find those bad officers and hold them accountable. I agree with Terry. This is not acceptable. We don't want police officers. We want to be transparent. We want to hold them accountable for what they're doing wrong.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Farwick, I'm sorry. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Dawn Farwick, I'm a resident of Independence. While I appreciate that you have a policy where you define the fraudulent use of the
Ma'am,
data.
I'm sorry, could you just push the microphone a little
I'm
bit
sorry.
further down?
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
short. Woefully so. While I appreciate that your policy does define the fraudulent use of the data, However, in section M number 6, where you talk about the discipline, you say anyone who engages in impermissible use may be subject to discipline. You don't say will, you say may. And then you don't define what that discipline is. You don't say, I realize it would need to be a range because obviously certain actions would be way horrible than others. But again, you say may, you don't say will, and you don't define what that discipline could be. Secondly, kind of along the same lines, you have in your policy, in section P number 3, you say the data may be released to other authorized law enforcement, but you do not mention the need for a warrant. So again, why are there not those guardrails saying that there has to be a warrant for it to be released? And finally, what concerns me about this, I think more than anything, more than any written policy independence could have in place, is the fact that all of this data, every single picture, is sent to the FBI, because the NCIC, which is that database that you get those hits from, the only way you get a hit is independence data is compared to data that's in a database. Who runs the database? The FBI. When you send your data to an external party, and in this case, the FBI, you no longer control that data. The FBI does. And what they choose to do with it is their business. Whether they decide to keep it forever is their business. Who else they share it with is their business. And it ceases to be independence controlled. So all of the talk about, oh, independence controls it, no, they don't. Every single piece goes to the FBI. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, yes. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Arnold.
So the NCIC data is not a two-way street. The NCIC data is fed into the hot list. It comes to your agency with a vehicle has been reported stolen. It does not, the photographs do not go back to NCIC. They could not possibly store all that information. So the information from the NCIC from a stolen vehicle, wanted vehicle, is put into your system as a hot list. It does not go back the other direction.
How do they get the information?
Yeah.
It's sent.
The NCIC information is entered when the vehicle is reported stolen or missing person. That goes into your hot list. It does nothing. It has nothing to do with the photographs taken from an LPR camera. If that plate is addressed, your agency on your hot list is identified of the vehicle that it is in the area.
As I understand, NCIC gets their data from a variety of sources, police agencies all over the country.
Right, but oh, wait.
Okay.
Yeah, every agency in the country uses NCIC.
Ma'am, did you want me to answer those questions, or did you want to wait?
Are you going to update the policy by chance?
Well, we don't need a warrant currently, so we would not update that. As far as the may and the disciplinary action, it all depends on what's going to happen. So we don't put specifically what causes what issue in there. We don't define it. So it says may because depending on what the violation is, it may be a disciplinary action or may not.
What would be a violation of a disciplinary action?
Which would be standard for any employee
Yeah,
policy or a variety of other policies. All right, folks, I'm sorry. If we could, we've got Mr. Beck.
Yes, sir.
Right. And for Mr. Beck, I've got Craig Browning, Zach Ford, but floor is yours, Mr. Beck.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I just got some comments here. As a taxpayer, I feel that mass surveillance is a blatant infringement upon a citizen's privacy. I don't see where the safety of citizens outweigh our Fourth Amendment rights from intrusion of government. While the Independence Department highlights 28 arrests from 2025 to 26 from flock cameras, our police force has successfully made hundreds of arrests and kept Independence ranked as one of the safest cities in America for decades, using traditional community policing. We don't need to subject thousands of residents to automated surveillance to keep this town safe when standard proven law enforcement methods already work. I have a couple questions. With the retaining of flock data, you're saying 30 days. Now, they changed that to 7, haven't they? I know flock has.
I'm sorry, sir, if I could ask you to stay close to the microphone, please.
Flock
has, I think, flock.
They have a recommendation to move to 7 days, yes.
So is Independence going to do it?
I would have to discuss that with my command staff, but our Kentucky law allows for up to 90 days, and we're currently at 30, and that is something we can definitely discuss, whether we want to, decrease that from 30 to 7 to 14. That's something that we could definitely discuss, if that's something that the will of the citizens want.
Yeah, that's the chief that can make that decision on 90 days. Chief? Chief?
I'm sorry.
You're the only one that can do 90 days, correct?
Am I the only one that can do
Yes,
90 days?
from my research, it's like the chief of police is the only one that can do.
No, I
Unless
can
there's an
only
investigation or active
No, I can only do
investigation.
30 days like the rest, because like they said, once the 30 days is up, if you're referring to the policy that says that 90 days, I can discuss it with the mayor to change it up to 90 days in the future, should we need that based on investigations. But right now, we have no plans to do that. That's just based on the Kentucky law. So the highest level we could have is 90 days based on Kentucky law. So it's written in there. Should the chief of police decide that 90 days is better for the community than 30 days, we could discuss that with mayoral approval. So I cannot see any more data than anybody else in my system. 30 days is all that we keep, and 30 days after that, 31 day, it's gone. 30 days and 1 second.
Okay. I have one other question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Currently, we're not using Condor or facial recognition cameras system.
Correct.
Is there any plans in the future to use those?
No.
No. Excellent. That's all right. Because they're saying that they don't do any facial recognition, but they do produce the Condor cameras. So.
No, we have no interest in that. The automatic, excuse me, the automatic license plate readers, for the reasons stated, is what we're using.
Yeah, along with the drones and everything else. So. All right.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, I've got Craig Browning, followed by Zach Ford, followed by Owen Parsons. Mr. Browning, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Craig Browning. Been living here for a while. Chief, I'm a little surprised that you haven't heard of Catry v. United States.
Haven't heard it. Okay.
The Supreme Court case that was just decided. It kind of gives me the air that you have researched only the affirmative and nothing in the contrary to these flock cameras. I'm not going to sit here and argue the ineffectiveness of them. I think that would be foolish. Clearly they're effective. Clearly they're stopping crime. They're a fantastic tool. So is martial law. There's guidelines and boundaries to that. I'm not even going to sit here and argue that the abuse couldn't happen. Clearly it can happen. We've seen it. The cases are there. I do believe at the last business meeting you said it was conspiracy theories in regards to the abuse.
I've heard from a lot of them, yes.
True, but that was your statement, right? We're not going to get to conspiracy theories in regards to the question about abuse.
Which is why we're conducting this meeting, to get facts from knowledgeable
Fantastic.
parties. Yeah.
So, but they do exist, and we've seen them, and even in the minimalist of them, they're there. So I'm not even going to argue that. I am going to argue, however, the Fourth Amendment is being violated. I will stand on that. I think that the Supreme Court has backed it up. I found it interesting, the court case that you used. That specific court case, actually, have you looked into it, or did you just highlight it on recommendation?
Which one?
Let's see here. On your page, I believe it is number 1. No, it's Knott's. The Knott's case.
The Knott case?
Yes.
The 1985 case?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you look into it, or it was just, it's the front page?
Yeah.
Do you know the specifics of why that individual was being tracked, or in what way they were being tracked?
I don't have the specifics in front of me. I just know that it has to do with
It just had to do with it. So it came up when you were looking for, is this a violation of the Fourth Amendment?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So it was a trio tracker, right? In that same court case, if I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken, please don't quote me, but I do believe that in that decision, they held the right about geofenced data. They said a dragnet style was not what they were referring to in the statement, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. The Supreme Court held that they would deal with that at what point it became a problem, the 24-hour surveillance. And with this recent Supreme Court case, they held that the geolocation data was covered under the Fourth Amendment, which is very interesting that you haven't read that. I understand it's recent, but this has been on the books, and you have put the research together. So my only opposition is clearly.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I appreciate your point, but I think if I'm not mistaken, I can let Mr. Arnold correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there are something like 60,000 police agencies using Flock.
Well, I think they're all a violation. Is that interruption any pertinent to my statements?
We will absolutely, if there is a court ruling saying that they are unconstitutional, we will absolutely cease to use
I will correct. The court ruling was in regards to Google. It's the location data of cell phones. I do believe that Supreme Court ruling will, in fact, lead to the geofence data that you guys are referring to here. And the fact that it hasn't even been considered or looked at when we're looking at, is this a Fourth Amendment violation? And it being a very significant and recent ruling surprises me. With that, I yield the floor.
And as it works its way to the court, we will absolutely. All right. I've got Zach Ford, Mr. Ford, and Mr. Ford is followed by Owen Parsons and Kevin Draper. We'll get to that when we get there. Floor is yours, Mr. Ford.
All right. My name is Zach Ford. I've been a resident of Independence for the last 8 years. I grew up in Morningview, very familiar with the area. I think we live in probably the best city in the state of Kentucky, or the Commonwealth of Kentucky. If you look at statistics, we are among 80% for the safest cities in Kentucky, and that's without flock cameras. If you go back and you look at some of the statistics and some of the cases he showed, Louisville being one of the primary ones, is one of the areas that he touched on. And there's currently cases where they have 3 people that have been in trouble with the Louisville Police Department for a federal agent having access to their flock password and using it to track 1,700 inquiries through the flock system. And it was called after the fact. But among that, if you look into some of his other statistics in his cases, auto theft was a big one he kept going back to. We have a 1.14 per 1,000 statistic of auto theft in Independence. Why does that constitute flock cameras? You go to murder, the statistic is 0 per 100,000 for Independence, Kentucky, which is amazing. I'm not taking anything away from our police force. I think they're doing an excellent job. But again, why does that constitute Fourth Amendment issues? Missing persons, there's no actual data that I could find on that, so I guess we don't have a whole big lot of issue with missing persons inside of Independence. When we go into the flock camera, the Charty is one that's going to come up a lot. Newport, Kentucky actually took away their flock cameras because of that case. That happened recently. It was closed in July of 2026. Now, if you want to look at crime rates in Newport, they have 4,167 of 100,000 for their crime rate. And yet they decided the Fourth Amendment was more important. For us, we have 343 out of 100,000 for a crime rate. So if we have cities close to us with higher crime rates that are saying our Fourth Amendment is more important, I would urge our council to feel like maybe our Fourth Amendment is more important as well. With that, my last statements, I would urge you to review. We have the Charty we already referenced. Carpenter versus U.S. determined that a Fourth Amendment warrant was required for tracking. The U.S. versus Jones is a GPS tracker in that instance. It's not a flock camera, but still it's tracking, required a Fourth Amendment warrant. Leaders of Beautiful Struggle versus Baltimore, that's not Supreme Court obviously, but it required a Fourth Amendment warrant to aerial track. And flock is, it's taking pictures. It's not aerial, but still it's tracking. Commonwealth versus Bell is out of Virginia. Again, it's not a Supreme Court, but it required a Fourth Amendment search for searching and storing license plate data. That's directly related to flock.
Could you say it one more time? What was that one?
Commonwealth versus Bell. It was a Virginia, and it was specifically to search and storage of license plates, and it determined it needed a Fourth Amendment warrant for that.
Okay.
So with that, that's all I have. I don't really have any questions. I just want to urge the council, you are elected officials. You represent the people of Independence. Please listen to your citizens. We love this city. We feel safe here.
Appreciate your comments, Mr. Ford, and that is why we are here tonight, to listen. We sincerely want to listen. Yes. All right. Mr. Parsons?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Am I
Yes.
close enough? All right.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, Owen Parsons. We've lived here for over 5 years now and love the community. Have really been embraced by a lot of people. And in my 5 years, I've never been compelled to attend a city council meeting before tonight. I think there's a lot of people that can probably
I feel like I've seen a lot of new faces tonight.
say the same thing. So I think we're doing a pretty good job of informing you about how we feel about these. And I think it just boils down to two primary things. The whole system is ripe for exploitation. Everybody's up here, their trail of tears, their potential of what could be going down, how could be used in the future. And I think that's all very valid. And the primary concern, why are we spying on 100% of people when 99% aren't doing anything wrong? I would also like a little clarification. In my research, you said you could extend the storing of data from 30 days to 90 days. Basically, if you and the captain decide that that's necessary, could you provide any sort of example or you think that would be necessary? Furthermore, what is a valid search reason? Is there a defined term in the rule book, any sort of city ordinance? Could that be posted to the city website? And
No, there's predetermined reasons, and there's like a drop-down box, like he mentioned in his speech. It has to do with different crimes and things like that. So they're like vandalism, automotive, theft, burglary, drug offenses, things like that.
so just any crime or suspicion of crime,
No,
not probable
the
cause, like that's not a very defined term. If that could be made public, I think that might help us. There's also use of legitimate criminal investigations verbiage throughout a lot of the information available on the Independence website. I would like to know what constitutes a legitimate criminal investigation, when that starts, who can be included on it, what sort of parameters, because when they brought up the white SUV example, that was a bit concerning because it sounded like a lot of people would be scooped up in that net. You know, there's a lot of white SUVs around.
Right. Well, and that's why I said, like I said, you have to look at the totality of the circumstance. You look at the time of day. We're not going to look at it for a 24-hour period and just check to see how many times a white SUV came by. You know, there are things that stand out. If it might have 3 hubcaps instead of 4 or something like that, that might be caught on the camera. If it was 3 o'clock in the morning, you might have 1 SUV out that time. And all it's going to do is give you a lead to follow. That doesn't mean we're going to go knock on every single person of those 20's door. You know, we might look at the totality of the situation and determine whether or not we think that that person could be involved and start the investigation at that point. Like I said, we're not going to get warrants. We're not going to arrest people just for passing by a flock camera and being involved. But the vehicle's driven by somebody, so we have to start an investigation. No.
License
Like I said,
plate
it starts
reader,
an
but it picks up the back of the
investigation.
car, so it potentially gets make, model, color.
All right, sorry, go ahead, sir. Do you have something?
Okay.
Something else?
Sorry, I forgot where I left off. I thought it was interesting that we opened with an invocation indicating that we're looking for the best for our city. And I kind of think that this isn't the best for our city. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that think 10 cameras are good. Why wouldn't 100 cameras be great? Let's have one on every cul-de-sac, every street intersection. Like, more is better, right? So, just the right for exploitation, and which leads to me to the precautionary principle, which as a parent, I'm sure we've all said in some capacity to our children, which basically is just because you can doesn't mean you should. Thank you.
All right, got Kevin Piper. Okay. Floor is yours, sir. It'll be followed by Brian Nygarth. Or
My name's
something,
Kevin Piper.
And Wendy Lane. But yes, Mr. Piper, the floor is yours.
Resident of Independence for 51 years. I'm a research scientist and business owner. I was flocked for a year. They did a criminal investigation on my research. So I want to know what the police see me doing. Was I going out and collecting medicinal plants to feed rabbits? That, you know, I'm in support of technology. I have 3 fluffle cameras, I call them. They're not flock. They observe a fluffle of rabbits that I research with medical cannabis, using it ecologically without psychoactive effects. Okay, I've talked to you before,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes. I
about my
remember this,
research.
Yeah.
I'm in quantum biology, quantum physics, quantum consciousness. I have very important research that I'm doing in this city that anybody can come and see. And basically, I was flocked for a year prior to my conviction of feeding raw cannabis to bunnies in the pursuit of finding a cure for chronic disease through the creation and development of fetuses in the womb, depending on the activation of the endocannabinoid system, endocannabinome, in a rabbit, replicating what we could do in mammals. And I've been basically sentenced to a death sentence for my research, because it's going to die in probably 2 months if I'm not looked at for what I have, you know, put my hard work into. I was flocked for a year, starting in July of last year to back to May of June 24.
I'm sorry, sir, how are you flocked?
They went and back, got recorded flock footage of me and my girlfriend's license plate, and they documented everything. Well, none of it came up in my discovery as me doing any wrongdoing, okay, in that time. But I got caught feeding 5 cannabis plants to a bunny, okay? It's the way people should be using cannabis, okay? It's used for non-psychoactivity. Through my research, I basically have narrowed down the fact that we can increase our potential to create healthier fetuses, zygotes, whatever you want to call it, through a process that I call becoming ecologically medicinal. By incorporating cannabis into regenerative medicinal farming and using quantum biology, quantum physics, and quantum consciousness to work with these animals to increase the nutritional value of our fruits and vegetables. That in turn activates our endocannabinome, that we activate our endocannabinoid system.
Sir, I can appreciate, I know you and I have had this conversation. If we could, we've got a lot of people, if we could try to keep it.
But I want to know, what is this being used good for? Are they going to exonerate me from the footage that they showed that I did no wrong, that actually I was doing good for the community?
I think we've discussed what it's being used for: stolen vehicles, missing persons, assorted other crimes.
Well, I mean,
in your particular case, I don't know the particulars of the case.
They looked and found nothing. I'm just asking for...
Without knowing the particulars of the case, Chief, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I have no particulars on your case either, so I don't know if flock was used in any of your cases or not. So.
Paul Mace is the one that used it.
Okay.
We're happy to look into it.
Talk to
if you
Agent
want
Mace.
to come talk to the police department, we're happy to look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, next up, I've got Brian Neergarth, Wendy Lane, and Andrew Harmon.
Yeah, hi. Brian Neergarth. I want to thank everybody for coming here. Some of my faith in our populace is restored, that enough people are paying attention to fill this room. So that's awesome. I also want to thank the police force, and I want to compliment, how well they do their job prior to the flock cameras. I've just moved here 3 years ago, and within 3 months, both me and my wife got popped for speeding on 17. So well done. Well done. Good job, guys. I was impressed. I was like, wow, they got us both. How did they do that?
Hopefully they gave you a warning.
No. I came to stand because I know a little bit about IS, and I know a little bit about AI, and I know a little bit about Flock. I can tell you that what Flock has is not exceptional. What they have is a solar panel with a camera with a circuit board. That's it. Anybody can go home right now and they can ask ChatGPT, how do I build a Flock camera? And it's a trip to Micro Center and about a weekend worth of work. There's nothing exceptional about what this company's offering. There's nothing. When the product first came out, it had security vulnerabilities. It had a common port that was open. It's the equivalent of leaving your front door open. And the reason I know that is because I'm at work doing some experimental stuff, and one of my supervisors pointed it out. Hey, you left this port open. That's bad. So essentially, whoever programmed the Flock devices didn't have the knowledge that I just got 2 months ago when they created their software. It's a very basic thing to shut that front door. The other thing that they have are jumper switches that are, you can actually access them without dismantling it at all. That'll reset it, put it in a diagnostic mode, and let you replace the software and do anything you want from it from that point. I think the real reason we have these Flock cameras, and the reason why they're Flock cameras and not any of the other companies that have been around for 25 years, as Mr. Phil Arnold said, is because Phil Arnold's company has been funded by Peter Thiel, billionaire. This company was founded less than 10 years ago, and it was founded with a huge investment by a big billionaire donor. And what I found really disappointing, and what I really want to leave you with today, is that whenever the City of Independence is looking at IT solutions, okay, don't buy the first thing they sell you. This feels a little like a cigar deal, and not because you guys fell for it, but because the entire nation picked these things up without much questioning at all. It just feels like everybody got brought into a room and said, hey, we got a deal for you guys, It looks a little weird. What I'd like to see in the future is that if you're looking for IT solutions, and I think the camera thing's cool. I would like the City of Independence to have access to camera information. I think it's kind of cool. But I would only like the City of Independence to have access to our camera information. And with that said, I would encourage you guys that if you ever look for an IS solution, don't need to look nationwide. There are people in this area that have the skills to build exactly what you need, to do exactly what you want, and even put the data on your premises so that we're not sending it off to the FBI and doing all this other stuff to it. So, thank you.
Mr. Arnold, I don't know if you had any response specifically to the Flock issue, the issue with the access? Okay. Are you still there, Mr. Arnold? All right. We move on. I think I have Wendy Lane. Floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Wendy Lane. I have lived in Independence almost 20 years. I've owned a home here for about 15, and like the last gentleman said, none of the concerns that I have are particular to our police. I'm very happy with you guys. Every interaction I've ever had, you guys have been professional and helpful.
We appreciate that.
So it's not about you guys. That being said, Carmine beat me to the Benjamin Franklin quote, so I don't get to do that.
I have seen that one a few times in the last few weeks.
I do have some concerns that I haven't really heard anybody talk about. Those of us that own homes, I'm pretty sure we all just got our homes reassessed, and all our taxes went way up. So my concerns, among others, are financial questions like, how much is this costing us per year? What kind of contract are we getting into? And so many people have brought up litigation. What happens if somebody sues us? We're going to have to pay for that. We're going to have to hire attorneys to defend our city and our police, and that just sounds like a fiasco to me. The other thing that was brought up was extreme circumstances, that all these things we're worrying about are just things that happen in extreme circumstances. My question would be, who gets to decide what these extreme circumstances are? Who gets to make that decision of when all of a sudden our rights don't matter? I think we've kind of seen how that goes. I think we've also seen the government isn't always that great about keeping us safe. So, as others have said, do we want to sacrifice our rights for not a lot of guarantee of much? I think, again, also other people have brought up the fact it's emphasized in these packets that right now it doesn't do all these things. It doesn't send traffic tickets. It doesn't look at your face, on and on and on. But again, that's just what it doesn't do right now. And I don't have confidence, given what I've seen in this country over my lifetime and beyond, I don't have confidence that those things won't be progressed into at some point when. And it'll be somebody that we don't even know who making that decision of when it's time to go do that. So those are my biggest concerns.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. All right, I've got next up Andrew Harmon, followed by Jerry Saylor.
Feel free to post any of that financial information on that transparency portal for us.
Okay.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Mayor, at this moment in time, would it be okay to disclose how much that costs? This question's come up 3 or 4 times.
It has come up.
Let's just go ahead.
Our contract, I believe, is $60,000 a year, or we have $60,000 in cameras.
Yeah, it's $3,000 per camera. Currently, we have 17 cameras. We were in the process of getting to 20 cameras, and that would be $60,000 a year. They are 2-year contracts for the cameras. So the first set of contract was for 10 cameras for 2 years, which should be up here in the next few months. And then it's 2 years for after that, for each one. That's all part of the $3,000 a year. So it's a soft. That's part of the $3,000. Sorry. So there is an initial installation cost on the first year. This last year they waived the installation fees, so I don't have to pay the installation fees on those. That ranges depending on where the cameras go. So it's anywhere from $250. I'm guessing here because I don't have the exact figures, but I think it was like $250 to like $1,250 per installation, depending on if it was in a right-of-way and had to have a breakaway pole, or if it was mounted to an existing product.
Chief, would it be safe to say we've got certainly under $100,000 invested?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Like I said, the first year we maybe had, I'm guessing, roughly 10,000 maybe in installations, and then I don't believe we paid installation for the other ones that we implemented.
Why are we guessing?
Thank you.
Because I don't have the figures in front of me.
We are happy to, if you want to submit a request, we are happy to share down to the penny of what we've spent on flock.
Yeah, I don't have the figures, so I
we
can't
just don't
tell
have
you
everything
accurately.
at our fingertips right now. All right, but let's go ahead and move on. Mr. Harmon?
For installation?
Yep. Floor is yours.
That's accurate. Yeah, that's accurate.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, fellow residents of Independence. My name is Andrew Harmon. As a resident of Independence, I have a personal stake in this. I also have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I've spent 8 years as an Army officer in the Military Police Corps. I don't say that to present myself as a constitutional law expert. I'm not. But I do have professional experience with law enforcement and a formal education in the criminal justice system, which is why I've taken these concerns seriously. I've read the city's myth versus facts responses, and I think they fundamentally miss the argument residents are making. I'm not claiming that Independence police are currently stalking ex-girlfriends with flock. I'm not claiming that foreign governments currently have access to our data. I'm not claiming that every flock camera is currently being hacked. The question is, Why should we participate in a system capable of these abuses? Flock is not simply a camera. It is part of a rapidly expanding national surveillance network of more than 120,000 cameras. Recent investigations have documented dozens of cases of law enforcement misuse, including officers using the system for improper personal surveillance. So when the city tells us our officers aren't doing that, that doesn't answer the question of what this system makes possible, or what happens when personnel, policies, technology, or circumstances change. The same problem applies to privacy. You tell us the cameras don't track our every movement because the cameras are stationary. That's technically true, but it misses the point. A network of cameras doesn't need to physically follow you when a database can retroactively determine where your vehicle was seen and when, using AI-powered searches of a database logging billions of data points nationwide every month. And when residents raise concerns about facial recognition, signal trace, data sharing, retention, or other capabilities, we're told these things aren't happening here. But what protects us if that changes? As I understand it, Independence has not enacted comprehensive legal restrictions that permanently prevent future administrations or law enforcement agencies from expanding these capabilities. In fact, our policy allows data to be retained longer than the default period if the department chooses to do so. That does not reassure me. It tells me that the capabilities exist and we're simply trusting that they won't be used. The Fourth Amendment was written long before computers, smartphones, GPS, or AI. The Supreme Court has repeatedly had to reconsider what constitutes a reasonable search as technology changes. Cases such as Kylo, Carpenter, and the Supreme Court's recent Chattree decision from June 29th, 2026 demonstrate that technological capability matters when evaluating privacy expectations. This part wasn't originally planned in my remarks, but I find the verbiage that Flock creates a virtual gate around our city particularly interesting. Chattree involved warrant requirements for geofencing using phone location data acquired from phone companies. Virtual gate, geofence, it just seems like more of a coincidence, and it speaks to where the line should be. We have an opportunity to draw a better line. I trust our local police officers, but good government cannot depend on trusting every individual who might someday have access to a system. We build laws and safeguards precisely because people and circumstances change. So I'm asking council to remove the Flock cameras, prohibit further implementation of automated surveillance systems, and recognize that public safety and individual liberty don't have to be opposing values. Thank you for your time and attention.
All right, thank you for your comments, Mr. Harmon, and also thank you for your service. Next up, we have Jerry Saylor, followed by, I'm sorry, this was scratched out here. I'm having trouble reading it. Labrador? That sounds like exactly what it is. Yes, thank you. Followed by, and then I think Ed Herb? Hebel? I'm just really bad at this, so thank you for your patience. All right, thank you. And Mr. Saylor, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello, my name is Jerry Saylor. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to appreciate everybody who came out and spoke. I had a lot of great points I was going to make, but unfortunately, like within the first 3 people, they pretty much hit them all on the head. So my next question is, out of you guys on the city council, who here is in favor of the Flock cameras?
Like I said, this is an information session, not a decision.
And I'm trying to just get information on, you represent us. I would like to know who.
I am absolutely in favor of it for the reason I've said. I've been very public about this.
Can I get a show of hands?
We have had this.
That'd be the easiest way to do this.
Again, we are collecting information. What I can tell you is we've had Flock cameras since 2023.
Just raise your hands if you're in favor of the Flock cameras.
We've done a great job so far. We will get you this decision, and you'll know who's in favor of it. These are all public decisions. Well, we've had them in here since 2023. They've been in our budget for the last 3 budgets, and they've been unanimously voted on as part of the budget.
Hey, you can see in front of you what the public
Okay.
safety is.
If we can please keep the comments.
Sir, please keep your comments till you're up.
Well,
please.
if I could make a comment here, because I don't like being silent. If you know me, that's very hard for me to be. But if you listen and we go through this procedure, I will guarantee you that I will tell you my opinion when this meeting has come to a close.
So.
It will not have any legal binding because I cannot, it's not up to me, but I will gladly give you my opinion. I'm not here to hide anything or anything, but just be patient and let us go through the procedure so everybody gets a chance to speak, and you'll know exactly how I feel by the end.
How do you feel
Is that
going
fair?
into it, like, before the meeting started?
Well, I'm just like you. I'm a citizen. I drive the same streets. I honestly have the same distrust in federal government as you do. But, you know, I don't really want to, and I can tell you right now, I'm opposed to them. I can't.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I apologize to the mayor and anyone else, but, I mean, you know, that's just, it is what it is. You know, but we do want to hear everybody's opinion. There may be, you know, maybe there's some different stories. But my thinking on it is if it's not stored on our hard drive in our basement where we can keep an eye on it, then I can't guarantee anybody 100% that nobody else has access. So.
I'll leave you with this. When it's time to vote for everybody again, he's definitely got my vote.
All right, ma'am, the floor is yours.
Hi there. Nicole Launder. I've lived in Independence since 2012, and I love it here. I want to go over Flock by the numbers for you. There are 120,000 cameras in 49 states. He confirmed that in his presentation. 46 officers are currently involved in stalking cases for misuse, so that's an average of almost one per state. 1 in 10 license plates scanned have the states misread. These are information statistics you can look up on the ACLU or the IJ Justice page. Currently, there are 149 cases on the Institute for Justice page for abuse, including romantic stalking, wrongful stops and detentions, non-law enforcement use, and other types of misconduct. Some jurisdictions can elect to keep info up to 2 years. I'm glad that we aren't one of those yet. Less than 1% of cars scanned and their info saved are involved in a crime. Flock claims this is from Flock's own information, they can claim a 93% success rate. 93% of 20 billion individual license plates a month is still over 1 billion misread plates a month. There are several different companies that do what Flock does, but I think we'd all feel better if the cameras came down altogether. And do we want to keep paying for replacement cameras? Because if this goes the way that some of the other cities goes, people are going to start taking them out. I mean, and what, $3,000 a pop? Wow. Finally, I would like to leave you with this thought. If we decide to keep these cameras, I move that we change our name from Independence, and perhaps we could consider Airstrip 1, and you guys can change your name to the party. Thank you.
Your name for the record, and I've got Ben Bach following, please.
Oh.
Sir, you're up, yes.
Okay, my name is Ed Hebel. I'm a resident. Well, I have a copy of the contract right here. I have a question for Mr. Arnold. What is vehicle fingerprint search?
Mr. Arnold, have we got you? Yes, go ahead.
That search would be if the officer gets information that, let's say it is a defending vehicle was a red Chevy Equinox with a ladder rack on the roof. You can put that in there, which would then go through the data that was collected at a certain location and find out if the vehicle matching the description was there.
Okay, thank you. How come you didn't mention vehicle fingerprint search in your spiel earlier?
It wasn't asked. It's just part of the system. We're not hiding it. We're very proud of that. That's what allows the officers to limit the vehicles they're checking on without making a mass. In fact, I actually did mention that because I mentioned the white pickup truck with a ladder rack on the top or something. That's part of the vehicle search.
Okay, so that's, but I mean, this was shown to us to be like automated license plate readers.
Yes, it
Okay.
does. That would then match a license plate to that vehicle, or vice versa.
Okay, thank you. You know, I'm seeing the word search multiple times, time and location-based searches. There's a lot of searching going on. I don't think warrant is mentioned in it, any of it. And at the very bottom, there's something that's very concerning to me. It says, unlimited custom hot lists. I have a question for our police chief.
Yes, sir.
Sir, is anybody notified if, is a resident of Independence notified when they're added to one of these lists?
No, sir, not until they're stopped.
Okay. All right, that's concerning. But thank you for your information. Yeah, I'm not against the license plate readers, but I'm against personal data dragnet that generates information that can be searched by authorities without a warrant. I'm not against protecting our community from thieves, but I'm against phishing campaigns that search information without a warrant using AI to generate suspects that may lead to various forms of suffering of innocent people. I'm not against security cameras. I'm against AI and machine learning constantly collecting data and generating models and patterns of life about me and my family to be used against us thanks to these security cameras. I'm not against using tax dollars to equip our police with the best tools, but I'm against using tax dollars to violate the Fourth Amendment and install very expensive equipment that can easily be destroyed by a $20 item such as a laser pointer or a Sawzall. I'm not against private companies taking a picture of my license plate, but I'm against a company taking many pictures and building a profile about my behavior, and then perhaps a new corporate policy later down the line, they sell that to various other agencies or private companies or countries.
If I could ask you just to wrap up, sir.
So I'm done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next up I've got Ben Bach, followed, oh, sorry.
Good for business that we did sell it. We have no intention, there's no need for it.
I'm sorry, if you could repeat that, please. Mr. Arnold?
Yeah, I was just saying that, to Ed, that, you know, his point about that we decide to sell in the future, we have no reason to want to do that. That would not be within our business model. We value people's privacy. We would not ever sell that. No intention, no reason to. It would not behoove us as a business to sell that data.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but our agreement doesn't allow you to sell that data even if you wanted to. Is that correct?
We can never sell your data. Data belongs 100% to you. We can never sell it.
What if you sell the company? Does it go with it?
We still have a contract with that entity. So it's ultimately, we would have to agree, it'd be a new agreement for us that says, yes, you can do that. I don't think anybody up here would ever agree to that. All right, keep going. So I've got Mr. Bach, followed by, is it John Longo, Joy Longo? Oh, John, okay, I'm sorry. And followed by Don Lambert. Okay. Floor is yours, Mr. Bach.
Good evening. My name is Benjamin Bach. I lived in Independence proper since 2019, but I and my family have been here in Southern Kenton County for 5 generations. The love I have for this place and its people is what prompted me to run for office of Kenton County Commissioner this year, with an honest belief that government of, for, and by the people is the best government, and it is each of our responsibilities to deliver on that promise. So thank you for providing this opportunity to the community to come forward and do their part so you can do yours. In short, 24/7 warrantless surveillance is a violation of our constitutional rights. Having our entire community under perpetual investigation for pre-crime is an affront to justice and civil society. The end does not justify the means. I urge the council to take immediate action tonight to initiate the termination of all flock and similar ALPR contracts and their implementation. Thank you.
right, Mr. Longo, floor is yours, followed by Don Lambert and then Dale Cullen. Callen?
John Longo. I hate spiders and public speaking, so you have to forgive me. So I've lived in this city for over 4 decades now, and I heard the chief say that we had 10 cameras. Well, we had 10 cameras when I started looking at this, and now we're moving to 20. So is it more of a gated community, or is it more of a prison? Because it seems like that's the direction we're headed. I believe every person in this room, regardless of what side they're on, they know that we're not just talking about flock cameras here and the number of cameras currently installed. This is mission creep. Next will be more flock cameras, Axon, Signal Trace, whatever. It's the same mantra over and over again. It's for your own good. If you oppose us, what are you trying to hide? Domestic terrorists? You're ill-informed. If it saves one baby seal, it's worth it. And I just don't think that's the case. I do have a quote here. It's not Benjamin Franklin. It says, of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised for the good of its victims may be the most oppressive. Their very kindness stinks with intolerable insults. And I had to change this a lot because after I read the letters and the facts that came out about flock in the past couple weeks, actually I did feel insulted. When I read the reading of the post from the city, The Truth About Flock Cameras, Myth versus Fact, of the 9 facts the city posted, of the first ones I was able to audit, every single one of these is either a half-truth or intentionally omits important facts. I'm happy to debate those tonight or in any other forum. I would like to thank Flock for being here and for getting the people that are on the left, the right, and the center aligned on one subject for the first time in my life. So there's a lot of other things I wanted to say, but I think they've been said before. But I did have one question for Mr. Flock up there. I can't remember your name. I apologize. That if a police officer in this city wants to audit records from a city that is searching our database, does the police officer have full capability to know what the name of the officer is that they're submitting the search? And I'll leave you all with this, and I can leave this up front. The City of Independence, their policy says that their policy requires a related case number. Here's 15,356 lines of 17,000 independent searches from 31 police officers that have no case numbers. Of that, there's 7,425 just use the word investigation, which is the most abused of all the search terms. There's 433 single character searches and 1,845 3-character searches. This is all generic and it's all smoke and mirrors. And I'll leave you all with that.
Can I say one thing, Mr. Longo? The case number is new. That's something that they have added that is now a mandatory field. So I would imagine that the majority of those, if not all of those, are before we implemented that and is now requiring that. That policy has been updated because of the new laws. And actually, I don't know when I posted it, maybe a week or 2 ago. I'm not sure the exact date, but that is why that's in the policy.
If I could just respond to that. My concern, Chief, is that the policy was already, you already had the policy written, and the policy wasn't being followed for 2.5 years. 17,000 searches, 15,000 missing case number. That's what I'm saying. So,
What policy did you get? Is it the most updated one, or was it?
I have that.
Okay.
And I compared both
All
one
right.
to the other. And both policies say we have that case number and a still somebody a good description, and neither one occur.
All right, I'd have to look at what information you have compared to what we run.
Thank you. And I don't know, Mr. Arnold, do you have a response to the question?
Yeah, I was hoping Benjamin could repeat it. I missed, the audio was bad, it's cutting it out, but he had a question about a police officer doing a search, and I didn't hear the gist of his question.
If I could ask you, Mr. Longo, if you wouldn't mind stepping back up to the microphone, I was pertaining to it. Go ahead.
The question is
If you could lead into the mic,
Yeah,
please.
sorry. The question was based on that we have about 3,000 police agencies that are not ours that are searching our database right now, as near as I can tell. And some of those are the ones that are actually under, that have been caught doing things they shouldn't be doing, and they actually have access to our database. And my question was, with the new policy in place, will Flock supply the name of the police officer to our police force when they're doing the audit requests? So does
Yes,
it?
sir. That is all part of it. So there's different types of audits that the chief has available. Internal audit is for his officers. External audit allows him to audit whoever from outside, whoever they have given access to audit those officers as well. So yes, he would.
With the police, that's, okay.
That's different.
Your vice president says something different based on the Flock website, but we'll take that up another time. Thank you.
Yeah, if I understood your question right, that is part of the external audit process that the chief can get from the other agencies, yes.
You're saying notify, he's saying audit, that's two different things.
Yeah.
They're not notified. It can
Right.
be caught in an audit.
All right, Mr. Lambert, the floor is yours.
So thanks for having this public hearing. Obviously, this has gone on a long time, and there's some, it's wearing on the council based on your body language.
Just my sciatic nerve.
I'm going to
Sorry about that. It's been a
repeat
long
something
day.
that's been said, and the reason is because at the time when it was said, Mr. Gatlin and Mr. Reinersman were engaging in a conversation on their own, and that is, which I am an Independence resident, but I didn't move here to be in a gated city. And that was one of the comments that was made by the Flock representative. I would much favor police on patrol instead of cameras surveilling the public going down public streets. Private businesses can monitor their businesses as they wish. That's their prerogative. And that may or may not be an infringement on our freedom and Fourth Amendment rights. One of the points I'd like to make in terms of the quotations of myths and facts is the facts are in fact claims, not fact, and stated and cannot be stated as being able to be upheld in perpetuity. That would relate to the promise that information will never be sold and or infringed upon by hacks on computers. Nobody's impenetrable at this point. And unfortunately, governments have worked themselves into a position of being not trusted. The chief mentioned a car might have 3 versus 4 hubcaps. If a Flock camera only photographs license plates, how would the hubcaps be discerned? I'm not asking a question, it's a rhetorical question.
Okay.
I'm just saying, be careful the words you use. Okay? In the list of myths and facts, item 13 states that public hearings were offered and no one came forth to speak. You know, I think the responsibility there is to get the word out effectively so that people understand. So that people understand what's coming up and what's important and what's not important. Along those lines, contracts, policies, and regulations are subject to change, and in many cases under the radar outside of public view. That would relate back to effective communication to the public. Facebook doesn't count. Public surveillance cameras are infringement on our right to privacy. Are there not enough cameras on patrol vehicles? And where do we stop? In junior high science, there was demonstration that you put a frog into cold water and you turn up the heat, it doesn't jump out, it just boils to death. You put a frog into hot water, it'll jump out. I think right now we're in the warming stage and it needs to be reversed. We are not frogs that want to die a slow death in terms of our freedoms. Our citizens are being subjected to more and more government control. You say you listen. Look around and act according to what the people have said. Thank you.
I will just quickly address to the point of the putting the information out there. We conduct a lot of business in a city this size. To notify every even somewhat significant action on up that we're doing.
This isn't even on the calendar
and
or the website.
To do that, but it was discussed. It's been discussed in meetings. It's been on the agenda. The budget's been on the agenda. It's been part of my specifically mentioned in budget addresses. And at the end of the day, we put agendas out there of what we're discussing. We put them on our website. We really do our best to be transparent. This has been in place for 3 years. I'm sorry? Not a dime. I'm sorry, do you have evidence to the contrary, sir?
It was a question. It wasn't an accusation.
Well, but his comment was sure. It sounded like you disbelieve. You think I am being paid by Flock.
Maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, because you're an elected official.
I'm sorry, I take exception to being accused of committing a felony.
So do we. Don't behave like you want.
And I don't blame you. I would too. We're not accusing anyone of committing a felony. It's simply a license plate reader you drive by. Let's move on though. We've got, next up I've got Dale Callan, followed by David Himes, followed by, is it Jason Hughes? Jason Hughes. I'm sorry. Mr. Callan?
Good evening. In the interest and respect of everyone's time here this evening, I will shorten my speech up just a little bit because most of the information I had has been redundantly approached multiple times. Flock cameras are often presented as simple public safety tool, cameras that read license plate and help police locate stolen vehicles or investigate crimes. But the central problem is not whether police should solve crimes. The problem is whether a private company's camera network should record and make searchable the movements of a large number of people who are not suspected of doing anything wrong. Flock's system captures vehicles, images, and license plate data. That's been confirmed tonight by your representatives. That data can be searched by law enforcement agencies, and agencies can share access with other agencies. In practice, this creates the ability to reconstruct where a particular vehicle has appeared over time. Even if the camera is focused on a car rather than a face, a vehicle's repeated locations can reveal highly personal details: where someone works, where they worship, where they seek medical care, visit family, or spend the night. The second problem is scope. Flock has built a very large national network. Its cameras can generate data that departments share across jurisdictions, which means a decision made by one local agency can affect people far beyond that community. A local surveillance camera should not quietly become part of a nationwide lookup system. Third, this system has been vulnerable to misuse. News reporting has documented over 50 cases in which law enforcement personnel have used Flock searches to stalk former partners, colleagues. The company's own recent policy changes, including mandatory case codes for searches, automatic reviews of unusual search activity, and possible account lockouts, are an acknowledgement that improper access is a real risk requiring technical controls. I say we don't even let that opportunity exist. Fourth, retention. For years, Flock's default retention was 30 days. This August, the company announced a move to a 7-day default, even though our department is not utilizing that. With that, the agencies can still set their own retention period under local policy. Reducing retention is better than keeping data longer, but it does not erase the fact that even a week of location records can be highly revealing, especially when cameras are widespread. Finally, accountability should come before deployment, not after abuse is discovered. If a technology requires new audit systems, mandatory case numbers, and automatic lockouts because users have misused it, we should ask whether the system's power exceeds the oversight surrounding it. Public safety and privacy are not opposites. Police can investigate specific crimes with warrants, evidence, and clear limits. But flock cameras normalize the collection of location information first and the justification later. That reverses the principle of a free society. People should not have to prove their innocence before they can move through public life without being tracked. You say they are not... You say they are not currently being used as mass surveillance, but it is a slippery slope. We've talked often tonight about the company, what if it's sold? Contracts are often reevaluated upon the sale of a company. It's typical. If we use Flock as well as we've used the technology here tonight, we should just go ahead and turn them off. Not one person here, across every demographic in the entire of Independence, not one person here has spoke pro Flock cameras. That should speak resoundingly to the council. I will close with one
Point's
statement.
well taken, but yes, if I could ask you to wrap up.
I will close with one question. Will you, ladies and gentlemen, follow in the footsteps in Newport and listen to your constituents, or must we speak louder at election time?
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And the good news is we are down to our final five. I've got David Himes, followed by Jesse Hughes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry? Well, we've all been here a while. David Himes, Jesse Hughes, and Steve Wagner are the next three.
My name is David Himes. I've been in Independence for 12 years. First off, I'd like to really appreciate all you on the city council. I've had like 5 people ask me to ask a question, so your burden's pretty heavy, and I really do appreciate what you do for us. I also like to thank the police, because I'm really happy that we live in such a safe city. But
Thank you.
I've got a short statement, and it's more of a rhetorical question. Honestly, Chief, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying how I feel and what's on my heart. Tonight I want to talk about a line between public safety and government surveillance, between giving law enforcement the tools that they need to protect our community and giving government the power to track innocent civilians who've done nothing to warrant that intrusion. These cameras cross that line. Allowing them in our community sets a precedent that reaches far beyond a camera and a license plate. This is about what kind of government we're willing to accept, what freedoms we're willing to surrender in exchange for security, and what happens when those of us who swore to defend the Constitution cross that line. Our Fourth Amendment exists for a reason. Our government is supposed to have limits on its ability to investigate and surveil its citizens. These cameras don't only help find criminals, they create a searchable record of the movements of ordinary, innocent people who are suspected of absolutely nothing. The potential for abuse isn't hypothetical. We've gone over that in abundance. That is the problem with these kinds of powers in the first place. You don't protect your liberty by simply trusting that the power to violate it will always be used responsibly. How good your intentions are today is irrelevant. Once we decide government surveillance of innocent Americans is acceptable in the name of safety, we've crossed a line. It's going to be real hard to uncross. When I was 18, I, like many other people in this room, swore an oath to defend our Constitution from foreign and domestic. The position you put me in is an impossible one. These cameras violate our Constitution. What am I supposed to do? Do I obey the government and stand idly by while it does something that blatantly violates the Constitution? Or do I honor my oath? Do I stand against what's unconstitutional and risk being treated as a criminal? That's the catch-22 that I'm in, and I'm sure some of you are too. I either betray my conscience and the oath I swore, or I risk consequences for doing so. I don't want to do either. A free society does not track citizens first and ask questions later. Public safety should protect our freedom, not require us to surrender it. Now, each of you has to decide where you stand and whether the principles you claim to represent still mean something when protecting them requires you to act. If you believe in defending our constitutional liberties, remove the cameras. If you refuse, leave the citizens you represent with an impossible question. What are we supposed to do when our government will not protect the freedoms it exists to defend?
Appreciate your comments, sir, and thank you for your service. All right, next up, we've got Jesse Hughes.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you guys having us out. I don't envy you guys in the least right now. I know it's a hard job you guys got. Chief, thank you guys for always being out there and keeping an eye on things in person. I think a lot of what I was going to say has already been said, so I'm not going to go down that road. But I think the thing that we need to look at is the mosaic problem. And no one's brought that up yet. So when we put this data into a centralized unit where people can add more data to it, for example, a trip to Indiana, who uses Flock, also feeds information into that. So that creates a more detailed picture of my comings and goings, anyone else in here. If you travel to, a different state, whatever, they have them. You're painting a fuller picture, which that is against the Fourth Amendment, is having that more detailed picture. So based on that, I would ask you guys to reconsider the use of the Flock cameras, even if it's just a pause, even if it is not renewing the contract right away, but taking the time to look into these actual court cases that are coming down. Because I feel like, I love this place, I love Independence. And I think one of the things that businesses look out for is their reputation. And it would be a shame to have one of our guys, showing up on the news somewhere nationwide, pointing fingers at Flock and what it can do, and how it changes people and how it changes their accesses and their power. I don't want that for anybody. So I would challenge you guys to look into these court cases, UCLA, the Virginia case, even some of the ones that have recently been concluded, Jones, Knotts, et cetera. People have mentioned those already. Because I think they're all pointing in the right direction. They're all pointing to it's not okay to survey. I guess that's a slogan. But I think ultimately we know that the judicial system is behind technology. It always will be behind technology. And so I think we should slow down and take a chance to take an opportunity to look at what it's really doing, who it's really hurting, and what that information is doing and is available to other people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, I've got Steve Wagner and then Janine Rocasa. I was close. I was so close. And then followed by Tom Shinners. Okay. Floor is yours, Mr. Wagner.
Hi, my name's Steve Wagner, Independence resident only for a year and a half, but a lifelong Northern Kentucky resident. Question before the council is not whether flock cameras can help solve crimes. Most technologies can provide some investigative benefit. The question is whether the benefits outweigh the risk to privacy, civil liberties, government accountability, and public trust. You emphasize that flock cameras are intended to identify criminals and missing persons. However, the cameras do not distinguish between criminals and law-abiding citizens collecting data. Every vehicle that passes the camera is scanned, photographed, time-stamped, and entered into a database. The overwhelming majority of those vehicles belong to innocent residents, visitors, employees, churchgoers, parents, and business owners who are not suspected of any crime. The chief said he uses less than 1% of the data. The fundamental concern is that residents should not have to surrender their privacy merely because they drive on public roads. History shows that surveillance technologies often expand beyond their original stated purpose. Today, you may promise the system will only be used for stolen vehicles, wanted suspects, missing or endangered persons. However, tomorrow, pressure may arise to use the system for other reasons. Some other administration may be in your seat. What if they have a different opinion? His company may be sold to a private equity firm. What if they want to use the data? What if they want to sell the data? We don't know what's going to happen 10 years down the road. And your job is to protect us. We're protected physically by the sheriff. Our data should be protected as well. Once this infrastructure exists, future administrations and future police leadership may adopt broader uses that were never contemplated when the cameras were approved. So you need to think about not only how the technology is used today, but how it's going to be used 5 years, 10 years down the road. Any system that collects data, sensitive data, creates opportunities for misuse. We heard about cases, even though it hasn't happened here, hopefully it doesn't, but the fact of the matter is that no policy can entirely eliminate human misconduct. It's going to happen at some point, right? So when that happens, who's held liable? Are you held liable? Is Flock? Is the Sheriff Department? Is it taxpayers? I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to some lawsuit. I'll just close with this. Every member of this council wants a safe community, I'm sure of that. Just as every person in this room wants a safe community, everyone supports recovering stolen vehicles, locating missing children, and bringing violent offenders to justice. The issue is not whether flock cameras can assist investigations. The issue is whether creating a permanent infrastructure that records the movements of every resident is an acceptable price to pay. Price to your citizens, and that price may be your position as a council member. A free society should be cautious before authorizing technologies that collect and retain information on thousands of innocent people in order to identify a relatively small number of offenders. Once these surveillance systems are installed, they rarely shrink, but they tend to expand. For these reasons, I respectfully urge the council to remove all the flock cameras from our city. The benefits do not outweigh the significant cost to our privacy, civil liberties, and public trust.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Rohrkassa?
Janine Rohrkassi. I'll keep it short. I just want to read a story for those of you that are still like, but the good outweighs the bad, and I don't do anything wrong. I think it's good. In mid-July 2025 in Aurora, Colorado, police used flock safety automated license plate reader data combined with Ring doorbell data to identify and charge 26-year-old Christina Andrews with theft after a package was stolen, because they said she was driving through this neighborhood suspiciously a couple times a day, every day for several weeks. She was casing out the place, and they had this image from a Ring doorbell camera of a woman with similar stature and a blonde ponytail, like the owner of, like Christina, who was stealing a package. She was arrested. This is just one story. She was arrested. She had to spend her own time and money, get an attorney. It took weeks to get the charges dropped. Can you imagine what she felt like? The embarrassment, the stress. Another case, I'm not going to tell, you can look them up. There's a million, not a million, but there's a bunch. In Chicago, there had been a car that was sold and police data wasn't updated or records or whatever. And Flock Camera found this car they were looking for. It was an older lady driving. They surrounded her car with guns drawn. I'm sorry, I'd soil my britches if that happened to me. Innocent or not, and I've had my fingerprints done in almost every state because of my job. I am not a criminal, but I'm telling you, prior to 2020, I would have maybe been more for Flock cameras because I would have never dreamed the things that happened in 2020, if you know what I'm talking about. I almost lost my job. I lost money. I lost incentives at work. I was treated like a criminal, and I didn't like that feeling back then, and I don't want that in the future. That's it.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Last up, I have Tom. I'll ask you your name since you're right there.
It's Tom Shinners.
Okay, I got it right.
Most of what I want to say has already been said, but just a few things I kind of noticed in the talks here. So no data is shared nationally except that it's stored in an AWS cloud, which, you know, I work in IT. Like, no system is immune to breach. There's no guarantees that our data is safe. I don't care what the sales pitch said. It's not. And there's no promises you can make that will, you know, prove that. He mentioned these requirements for case numbers and specific search terms, but, you know, those guardrails had to be implemented because of abuses. They weren't just put there to protect us. They were put there to protect Flock, and not proactively. They were reactively after the abuses. So I find that interesting. You know, the chief mentioned that, you know, it was only a few agents nationally that have been charged. Charged does not mean the same thing as caught misusing it. And, you know, I think it's fair to say that the police don't always charge themselves when they're, you know, misuse their power. And, you know, that's not to cast, you know, dispersions on the department, but nationally, I think it's safe to say police don't always do the best job policing themselves. I don't think anyone does the best job policing themselves. That's part of what you're here for. So I heard a lot of claims about, you know, the safety of our data. But when you decided to collect data on us without our permission, it shouldn't really surprise you that we don't trust you, that you will use it fairly, and, you know, since we never consented to let you gather it in the first place. So I think everything else I had to say was said, but I hope that you know, you take from this that not a single person got up here tonight to speak in favor of Flock, and that these cameras should be taken down.
Appreciate your comments. Excuse me.
Mayor, you're taking my data.
Can I get my question answered about who would be liable in the case of a suit?
I'm sorry. Well, could you repeat your question again?
Yeah, my question was, in the case of a lawsuit, misuse or data breach, and the lawsuit comes down, who's liable?
We are insured by the Kentucky League of Cities. They would likely represent us in a case of a lawsuit. They represent the Kentucky League of Cities as a membership of cities across the Commonwealth, hundreds of the 425 cities in the Commonwealth. I don't, off the top of my head, I do not know.
I know what our liability coverage is for my business.
I appreciate it. We've had everybody that was signed in. Every resident that was signed in to speak has spoken.
That's not true.
Appreciate your time.
He was signed in.
What is your name, sir?
Mitchell Dean Brown.
And your address?
49194 Road Court. I'm right on the edge of the
Yes, sir.
city, and I get surveilled every day by you guys.
I appreciate your concern, sir. You do not live in the city of Independence. That is unincorporated Kenton
You are
County.
violating my rights. The city of Independence is violating my Fourth Amendment rights.
And if a court decides that, we will absolutely remove the cameras.
Called protesters terrorists.
All right, so I sincerely appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate the fact that we were able to have this conversation. Trust me, it did not fall in deaf ears. I would welcome comments from council, but also remind you that this is a special meeting, so we are constrained to the item on the agenda. So obviously, it's block cameras, and of course, we don't have any action on the agenda, so we can't take any action this evening.
Well, I'd like to,
U.S. Marine veteran right here. My name is Dane Dwyer, Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps. I came here tonight with a lot to say to you and all of you up there, and I just want to let you know that everybody here has made excellent points tonight. Wonderful. It stole every point that I brought to the table. So that gave me
Sir,
that gave me a lot of time to watch.
if I could ask you to step to the microphone.
Yes, sir.
I'll make an exception out of respect for your service, sir.
Thank you. My name is Sergeant Dane Dwyer, United States Marine Corps. I came here tonight with a lot of points. I came here to speak to every single one of you behind that desk. And what I found out was that 7 out of the 8 of you do not care what people say because you wouldn't acknowledge the gentleman's question except for you, sir. Thank you. That information alone should take every one of us in this room to the elections. This November, next November, every November.
Sir, hold on. I made my stance on this very clear on 8 different Facebook pages, and I didn't even get a chance to speak.
Ma'am,
Wait, hold on. Now, I sat here very quietly for 2 hours and listened to everybody speak, and I didn't interrupt. I was about to say what I wanted to say, and then somebody else started speaking, and I didn't want to interrupt. So if you'll give us all a chance, I'm sure that we will all address all of this as soon as everyone's finished speaking.
I understand, ma'am, and respectfully, I am not judging any of you based off of your decisions here tonight. I have just seen some things, and that's all I'm telling you about. What I have seen in the Marine Corps is that there's rules of engagement. If you do not follow the rules of engagement in combat, you get tried in front of military...
If I could ask you to speak in the microphone, please.
Sorry. What happens in the Marine Corps if you do not follow the rules of engagement is you get tried by a military court, court-martialed, sent to jail. I do not see clear rules of engagement. For the past 3 years, you all have admitted these flock cameras to be in place. We are still talking about maze as far as disciplinary action. So as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing is already criminal. Now, thankfully, some Supreme Court cases have come up to show that, yes, flock indeed is criminal. I just hope that every single person here tonight also paid attention to the fact that they held this meeting on the same night as probably 90% of the school's open houses. I ran here from the Kroger parking lot to have my time. Thank you.
And with that, we are closing the public comment portion. I appreciate your time. Thank you. At this point, we will go to council. Any discussion among council?
well, I would like to say thank you for everybody coming out tonight and giving us your opinion, especially the younger ones, the ones that came in, you know, like the guy from FedEx. That's impressive to see some young people coming in with information. That's encouraging because we're all getting old, and I think the younger people need to pay attention and get involved. And really, there was a lot of great information tonight. People didn't come in here just saying, well, no, I don't want it because. You all had very good, valid points. I listened to everything you said. To me, this is my opinion. This is very black and white. It doesn't matter what I want, it's what you want.
That's right.
You know, but like I say, I've made that point just because that's what it is. There's, you know, I represent the people, and if you don't want them, you brought us some really good, valid points, and that's fine with me. But that's all I can do. Now, I think everybody else will tell you similar things. They'll have their opinions. So everybody, I think, should get a chance.
I tried twice now.
Okay.
To concur with what Thomas said, and I made my stance on this very clear, that if the people of Independence didn't want it, then I would recommend they come down. However, I've been advised that there's not action that can be taken this evening, but I have listened and I have said many times, if the people of Independence don't want it, then we need to take it down. And that's my stance. I want to thank everybody who arrived here tonight, very well prepared. Everybody spoke to the facts, and I appreciate that. I was pleasantly surprised at how many people came very prepared. It's not always the case. If council and the mayor will indulge me, I'd like to read 4 statements that were sent to me from people who could not be here, just for the record, because I promised them I would. I'm not going to go into everything they said just for the sake of time. However, Greg McCoy who is a resident. I verified that all these people live in the city of Independence. Greg McCoy spoke out against the cameras, stated very similar points that everybody brought up tonight. Betty and David Core spoke in favor of the cameras, and I believe that council received the same email I did. Is that correct? So I probably don't need to read that to you. Jared Fuquay, who's a friend of mine, who's also a resident, was against the cameras. And David Kane, who lives in Independence, obviously, sent me a very well-drafted statement that I promised him I would read. So if you all will just hang tight for a second. Sorry, we had quite the text exchange. Okay. I've been following the discussion around flock cameras, and I find myself in a place that probably doesn't fit neatly into either side of the debate. I support our local law enforcement having access to this technology. And I do want to preface in my own words that I support our police department 110%, and they've never given me a reason not to trust anything that they're doing. They do an excellent job of keeping us safe, period.
Thank you.
And Brian, I want to thank you for tonight. You took a lot of shots tonight, and you handled it with class, as always. So
You're welcome.
I support our local law enforcement having access to this technology. If a camera can help police find a stolen car, locate a missing person, identify a vehicle involved in a serious crime, or give investigators a lead they otherwise wouldn't have, I think that's a good thing. I trust our local officers to use tools like this responsibly, and I don't want to make their jobs harder. My concern is bigger than our local police department, it's Flock itself. We are quietly building what amounts to a massive network capable of tracking the movement of vehicles across communities and jurisdictions, and the infrastructure connecting all of that information is controlled by a private for-profit company. That gives me pause. It isn't because I believe Flock has some sinister motive, it's because companies change. They get new investors, they get acquired leadership changes, business models change, technology becomes more powerful. Data that seems relatively harmless today can become considerably more revealing when combined with other information tomorrow. Frankly, I think an infrastructure this powerful starts looking less like a traditional technology vendor and more like a public utility. I'd be much more comfortable with a system where law enforcement maintains all of the crime-fighting benefits, but the underlying network and its governance are treated as public infrastructure with strict rules around retention, access, sharing, auditing, and secondary use of data. There's an important distinction here. I'm not particularly concerned that an Independence police officer can search for a vehicle connected to a crime. I'm concerned about building a nationwide repository of our movements under the control of a private corporation without having a much larger conversation about what infrastructure could eventually become. We could support our police and still ask these questions. In fact, I think we should. The goal shouldn't be to take useful technology away from law enforcement. It should be to make sure the infrastructure build that technology ultimately serves the public interest. One last thing I'm going to say is that some very good points were brought up tonight about companies being, board of directors changing, presidents changing, companies being sold. And I've said this many times in the past about other things. Councils change, mayors change. I can tell you that everybody up here has good intentions. Everybody up here wants the safest independence that we can make. None of us did this maliciously or to surveil our citizens. We all had the good intention of trying to keep our community safe. However, councils do change, mayors do change, and we cannot guarantee how that data will be used in the future. So that is something that we need to consider.
I'll go ahead and add my 2 cents. Again, thank you all for coming. I love seeing this packed council chamber instead of just reading garbage on Facebook. So thank you all for showing up. With that said, and I'm going to echo, I think, what everybody else has said. We work for you all, right? That's right. That's it. End of story. You guys have come. A lot of points made I agree with. Some of them I didn't, but that doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, you guys have showed up, voiced your opinion, and it'll be heard. So that's kind of where I stand.
What's the next steps after this meeting?
Honestly, we haven't looked at next steps beyond this. This, like I said, this was to present the information to you, hear your information. It's obviously on the forefront, but no, I don't have an agenda, a specific item.
Should it be take a vote?
We cannot take a vote, we can't take, as I said going in.
Not tonight, your next meeting, should that be on your agenda? Take a vote to remove them.
We will decide.
I think it should be.
I'm not making any decisions tonight, as I said. Okay. Have any other comments from council?
I was just going to say I appreciate you all coming out too, for sure. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, since there seems to not be a lot of clarity about how you can get information about what you guys are doing, because this is the first meeting I've ever been to, and I only got the information because my daughter, I think, saw it on Facebook or something. And I would like to be more aware of what's happening, and I would like to follow what's going on with this. I don't even know, like, should we go to your website? Do you have a
You can watch our council meetings. They are all broadcast live. We live stream on Facebook. They're also on TBNK, the public access cable channel, which is available. Yes, we regularly meet on the first Monday. We post our agendas. Typical meetings are on Monday, and our regular meetings are the first Monday of the month. When I can, I try to keep, if we have to have a special meeting, they're rare, but if we do, I try to keep them on Monday nights for consistency, but it may be a different night. Either way, there'll be notifications on our marquee, notifications on Facebook, notifications on our website when that is. Agendas typically go out on the business day, usually the afternoon of the business day before the meeting. So if you have typical Monday meeting, the agenda is usually out by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The reason that it's cutting it that close is because agendas change as we get closer. Any questions, you can reach out, you can contact any one of us through the website.
I can look it up. I just wanted
Okay.
to get, like, what's the official message?
Well, sadly, there's things like the Inquirer and the Post that don't exist anymore, so we don't have that option to put it out in print like we once did for us, those people that may remember it. But, yeah, so I mean, if there's any other ways of getting this information out that you guys think are a good idea, please let us know. We're open to it.
And Link, Lee, you're right, though. Link does regularly cover our meetings. They've got a reporter here tonight. Northern Kentucky Tribune will frequently cover our meetings as well.
Facebook page, is that the City of Independence Facebook page? It is.
City of Independence, yes, not the community page, the official City of Independence Facebook page, yes.
Mayor, I would like to say something, just, if we decide this in our September meeting, if we have a vote, my son is having cancer surgery in Connecticut in September, and I may not be here because I'm going to be with my son. He's got stage 4 colon cancer. I'm not saying that for sympathy, but I would really like to be here for that vote, so I will do my best to be here, but if we could push that back to October, I would really like to be here for that, but I just want to make that, like, I'm sorry? I mean, that's up to the rest of, we can't take action on that tonight, sir, but, I mean, that's up to the rest of council. I'm just telling you what my situation is, and I've missed 2 council meetings in 24 years, so my attendance is very good, but I'm not going to not be there for my son, so.
Well, see, I know this is kind of disappointing that you probably came here tonight thinking there would be a resolution, but the way this meeting is set up by statute, it didn't work that way. To me, I'd rather have a vote right now and just be done with it, so we're over this issue, but that's not how it works. It's not up to the legislative body.
Is there a provision for an emergency meeting?
There is not. This is a special meeting. We can only address items that were covered on the agenda. There was no action on the agenda, so we cannot have action. And I will say, I appreciate everybody's concerns, but as we've said, these cameras have been in place since November, I believe, of 2023. I certainly understand your concerns, understand your urgency, and I do appreciate your comments. But I think, whether it's another couple of weeks or a couple of months, I don't think is in the whole scheme of things, it's not critical. But again, tonight was simply an opportunity to share information with residents, an opportunity to hear residents' feedback, to decide our next steps. But we will decide our next steps.
Out of curiosity, would the other 3 council members that haven't said anything care to join in on the conversation? As you guys said,
I'll leave it to council if they have any comments they'd like to make.
I was waiting my turn.
I missed my turn, so.
It's your turn, Greg, go ahead.
It's all right. You didn't mean to, it wasn't your fault. But what I was saying was.
Not finished.
Yeah, I want to finish this, for God's sake, let me finish. But no, anyways, thank you all for coming out, I really appreciate it. This was voted in 2023. This is my first term on council. This is my first chance to hear the negatives about this. I wasn't there in the voting body when it came in, but I wanted to hear everybody's opinion. I'm not going to sit here and make a decision on something that I like or don't like. It's what you all want. So my job here is to listen to everybody. And when that was unfair for him, in my book, for him to get up there and ask us right then and there. And he's a friend of mine, but it was unfair for him to ask right then and there because I need to hear everybody. And obviously, like you said, no one was for it. But my job is to listen to every single person because that's what we're here for. I don't sit here because of something I want. I sit here for what you all want. So I've heard what I've heard. Everybody's spoken. So as soon as we're able to put it on an agenda and get it through, you'll hear our decisions. But yes, I thank you because it was very eye-opening to hear some of your all's input. I really appreciated it. Thank you.
Greg, I think maybe it's your turn now, bud.
Maybe it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Well, the rest of us were here then in 2023, and we all voted yes. And because we heard all the advantages, some of which have proven true. I think what we failed to think of, and maybe I should say I failed to think of and not include everybody, was that anything that comes out that can be used for good can be used for evil. And that's what seems to have come out here. When this came out again, my daughter asked me, how did you vote that time? And when I told her I voted yes, she was horrified. She said, and she told me, you were an intelligence officer during the Cold War. You know more about the Soviet Union than anybody I've ever met. And you know all about what it's like, a pervasive surveillance state and what it can do. And that made me think a lot because, I mean, I can bore you with horror stories from about the Soviet Union for hours, and it is just not where you want to go, where your movement can be tracked. You know, what comes next? Internal passports? You know, it's not the path we want to take in this country. And that's my opinion.
Do you have any other comments from council?
Make a motion.
Yeah, in that case, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I've got a motion to adjourn. Councilmember Vogelpohl?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to thank the board, the city for having this forum tonight, allowing your residents to speak. I mean, let's be frank, the veterans that talk, this is what they fought for the opportunity to have the First Amendment, to say their piece, for all your residents to say your piece, so I just want to give you a big hand for that. At the end of the day, these cameras are a tool for law enforcement. We've heard a lot of numerous cases about the abuse of law enforcement tonight. Again, we're proud.
Folks, if we could please hear them out.
To put our safeguards in place.
It is on the agenda. I would ask that you please, we've done great tonight. And yeah, that's right. I realize you don't like the company, or most of you don't like the company, but let's consider the fact it's also a 40-year law enforcement professional and show a little bit of respect. Please continue.
So maybe you should earn it.
Thank you, Mayor. And I understand what the residents there are feeling. But again, I allowed them to talk. I'm just trying to give you some information. Again, we know that there are misuse of the system. That is why Flock has come out to put these guardrails in place to hold officers accountable. We think it's very important. We put transparency portals in place to make sure this is taken care of. The chief has the tools. You decide who you share the information with. So again, I just want to thank you for allowing us to talk. I thank you for letting your citizens come and talk and have a say in this. So I'm available for any questions at any time. the chief can contact me, you have my contact information, whatever I can do to help you out, I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. I have a motion adjourned from Councilmember Vogelpohl.
Second.
I've got a second from Councilmember Franzen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.